San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Monday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Good to be talking with all of you. Good to be able to be talking about a Padres victory after yesterday. Padres kind of not that great of a homestand. They go 2-4. Craig Stammen mentioned that, a lot of the travel, the high altitude kind of played a physical role in how the boys played this week. You didn't want to make it sound like an excuse. I don't really think it's that much of an excuse anyway. It's tough to do those things. You're going to have some of those stretches throughout the Major League Baseball season. And right now, Padres on a 2-4 stretch in their last 6. They get ready to take on the San Francisco Giants tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday before the St. Louis Cardinals come into town on Thursday to start another homestand here in San Diego. So, biggest takeaway from the weekend, obviously losing 2 out of 3 of the White Sox isn't great, but I like the way that they bounced back yesterday, able to scratch across a win, able to overcome, the hole that they dug themselves into over the weekend, and you got to see Griffin Canning pitch yesterday. Overall reaction to yesterday, Griffin Canning, I thought, was very promising. He had a strong debut, in my opinion. Signed cheaply after an Achilles surgery from last year where he pitched for the Mets. Canning threw 5 solid innings yesterday in his first MLB appearance in 10 months. Shaky first inning, maybe some nerves, not a lot of strikes, walked the first batter on 4 pitches, but he settled in, struck out the side in the 5th, and relied heavy on his changeup. 6 misses on 12 swings yesterday, and Craig Stammen, the manager of the Padres, called it better than expected and sees him as a reliable rotation piece. I think he does. I think he is too. It's a good start to his Padres debut and a guy like Griffin Canning, which I think starts to solidify this rotation just a bit. I thought it was interesting that they put German Marquez on the injured list. I thought that was interesting. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. We're going to talk about the offense later on this hour. We're going to dive into, in the 1 o'clock hour, what's going on with Major League Baseball throughout the first month. There's a lot we're going to discuss today on the show, but I really want to talk about the weekend as a whole. I went to the game on Friday. Friday was kind of a clunker, and the fact that German Marquez might be injured after Friday night start, it's not overly surprising to me, but if he was healthy through that, I think you could give him the benefit of the doubt right now a little bit because he's been put on the injured list. I don't know if it's a phantom injured list or not. But going back to, I think this is the conversation we had on Thursday, Frank, maybe even on Friday, in terms of like the ranking of Buehler, Marquez, and Waldron. Your eyes told you that Marquez was probably the most favorable. The metrics told you that Buehler was, and then that German Marquez was kind of at the bottom of the list. You know what? Based on the metrics and the analytics that we've seen, I don't think it's that surprising German Marquez has really fallen off a little bit. And now with each coming start, Frank, you look at those 2 starts that he had that were really good. Those are starting to be the outliers and less of the norm. And I think you saw that again on Friday with German Marquez. Now, maybe it's part of the injury. Maybe, because he got placed on the injured list, maybe that's why he didn't have that great of an outing on Friday. But as much as people get tired of watching Walker Buehler have really good innings and really bad outings, I think Walker Buehler is treading in the right direction. I think Matt Waldron, after the start that he had and his last start is moving at least in the right direction. German Marquez continues to move in the wrong direction, and I'm curious to see, what a potential, how long he's going to be out for, what the conversation is like for German Marquez, whether or not they're going to have him go down and do a rehab assignment. But I thought it was interesting that they decided to do that and give Waldron another start more than just replace Waldron with Canning. But if you look at German Marquez, Frank, on Friday, you were at the game, I was at the game. There wasn't a lot he was really showing that seemed promising.
No, he showed a promising ability to let home runs up, but other than that, I mean, he did. Yeah, Friday was just a really off night for him, and again, it might have been the injury that played a role in that, but that was the worst we've seen out of him, and I think he's going to get more chances than anyone else because I think we forget that he has a friend in that front office in Bud Black who managed him for quite a number of years. So I think he's going to have a little bit longer of a leash. I think he'll kind of do the same thing that we've seen the Padres do with Griffin Canning, and now we're seeing it with Lucas Giolito, where they're going to get that full time to work themselves back in and then make the decision later on down the road. But yeah, Friday was just a horrific game for German Marquez. It's just that's the kind of game that knocks you back in the order a little bit.
Yeah. So now, I mean, if you look at the numbers, as much as people were criticizing Walker Buehler, which I think he's done fine, they've all done relatively the same, and they have different pros and cons. German Marquez, after Friday, now has a negative WAR. His ERA is back up to 5.76. He's gotten 29 and 2/3 innings. And again, the home runs have killed him. I mean, nobody has come close to allowing the amount of home runs that German Marquez has allowed. He's allowed 8 home runs this season, which is the most by a single Padre by a lot.
That one by Murakami, Castellanos didn't even give it the courtesy jog. He just turned around and, that's gone.
Matt Waldron, Michael King, Randy Vasquez, Wandy Peralta have all given up 3 home runs. That's 5 less than the team leading 8 home runs that German Marquez has given up. And now here's the thing. It works out for the Padres. I mean, we'll see what happens. Hopefully German Marquez is healthy. Hopefully he can get healthy. But this gives you a little bit extra time here as they continue to kick the can down the road when it comes to the starting rotation. I think there's going to be a point where I think German Marquez has to pitch for this team again. I don't think it's going to be in the postseason, but I think the Padres are going to find different ways to keep these guys as part of the organization as long as possible. Hopefully German Marquez is not out for a significant amount of time, but the start on Friday was a little rough. Michael King, again, okay outing. Out of Michael King, I thought he started off strong. Things kind of went away from him a little bit late. Padres give up the game on Saturday to, a White Sox team that, as much as the White Sox are not a very good baseball team, I will tell you this, Frank, this is why the saying goes, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. And the Padres got the White Sox at a time where they're playing really good baseball. They were red hot coming into the weekend. That's no excuse to not, play above your level of competition. But at the same time, that was a little bit better of a White Sox team than I think other teams are going to have to deal with either later on in the season or that have already dealt with them early in the season. I thought Saturday's game was okay. You could take whatever you want out of Craig Stammen's conversation yesterday about the team being fatigued, with playing at high altitude and traveling internationally and all that fun stuff. I'll buy it. I don't think this is like the team at full strength, but I think it was good for them to bounce back yesterday. And that leads us to Griffin Canning and what Griffin Canning did yesterday. Canning was great. 5 solid innings. We talked about his low strikes early, got him late. He gave you 5, gave up 1. I think Griffin Canning showed yesterday that he could be a promising piece to this rotation throughout the year. I know it's only 1 start, but based on a lot of the analytics of his outing, and we're going to get to that later on in the show in the 11 o'clock hour, I was pleased with what Griffin Canning gave you yesterday. And he's a guy that's going to have to be a 3 or a 4 in this rotation, maybe more of a 4. But I like where you're at with him. I think you can breathe a little bit of a sigh, not too much because it's only one start, but I think you can bring a little bit of a sigh of relief, Frank, after seeing what Canning did yesterday.
Yeah, I think you got the Griffin Canning that you saw last year with the Mets. That's what you were looking for. Now, he said being in New York and just playing on a better team than what he was doing in Anaheim brought his competitive level up. So you're hoping that translated over here to San Diego, and it started a little shaky, as you mentioned. But for the most part, he pitched the way he did last year before he had that Achilles injury. So a solid start to the season for Griffin Canning, and exactly what you wanted to see out of his first start to the season.
Other takeaways from the weekend. How about Mr. Consistent Miguel Anduhar? We're going to talk about Miguel Anduhar later on the 11 o'clock hour as well, or actually later on in this hour as well. But he has been the hottest, most reliable bat on this team. Kevin Acee wrote a piece on him today as part of his daily newsletter. And he brings in a lot of the stats of Miguel Anduhar, and we're going to have this conversation about, is it time to have Miguel Anduhar play on a daily basis? I mean, they gave him $4 million, and they gave him $4 million to be on the bench and start against lefties. But Frank, he's really dominating against righties. He's got an 8-game hitting streak going against right-handed hitters, and he is hitting .316 on the year with an 843 OPS. Yes, I know it's only 83 plate appearances. It's not enough to qualify, but he homered again yesterday. And when the Padres have needed him to perform, Miguel Anduhar stepped up. And, at this point in the season, going into May, the fact that he's still hitting over 300 shows I think it's a really good sign of what Miguel Anduhar brings to the table here in San Diego.
I told you he was going to be very, very good. And I told you guys were going to really like him here. And he has done exactly what I thought. Now, the power is not really there, but he was never a huge power guy. He was always a gap-to-gap doubles guy. So he has been doing exactly what he has been asked to do. And now he's done it so well against lefties this year. He's starting to get into that position of being the everyday designated hitter for this team, and it's really paying off.
I like the sign when they had it. I thought it was a low risk, high reward type of signing. I thought it was going to greatly improve the bench. I think the bench is one of probably the deepest benches you have in Major League Baseball, and these guys are battling and playing well enough that they are forcing the conversation about extended playing time. And maybe they should start a little bit more. And, I saw to start before the show started today, our boy Prolific in the YouTube chat tweeted at us, put out a lineup that he wanted to see with Miguel Anduhar batting leadoff. I think maybe in a little bit longer because he needs more at bats. I think he needs more plate appearances. I think, and we're going to discuss this later on in the show, I think Miguel Anduhar is kind of the same thing that you deal with Luis Camposano, same thing you deal with like we talked about in Jackson Merrill rookie year. Sometimes you have to ease players into more important roles, or should I say, roles that require more responsibility, because sometimes these guys are succeeding because they're in the role that's built for them. And when you move them out of those roles, and they are now in situations where they see different pitches, they're more afraid of, teams are more afraid of you. All of a sudden they attack you differently. It changes the outcome of what that player could bring to the table. I think you're seeing that a little bit right now with Ramon Laureano in the leadoff spot. I don't know how many more games you're going to roll with that. I don't think Ramon Laureano in the leadoff spot is going to be a foregone conclusion, final decision right now. But right now for the Padres, this leadoff game is not getting any better, Frank. I mean, the leadoff hitters for this team, whether it be leading off games, whether it be leading off innings, they haven't been able to get really good leadoff at bats. And I would imagine the order is going to be jumbling around here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of different things that the Padres need to do offensively. I think a new leadoff hitter is kind of your thing. I think you also need to move your 2, 3, 4 around, see if you can do something.
I think so too.
To get those guys really heated up. I know Fernando's hitting better than the other two, but Jackson's not doing anything at the 3. And Manny's starting to heat up, but you really need to find a way to get those guys really working. I think 5 through 9 have actually been, normally they're the Achilles heel of this team, but they've been solid in some form of order.
Did you see the stat yesterday on TV? It was not surprising. This was on, I think this was on Saturday when they needed to come back. I mean, they were close. I mean, the double play really hurt them on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Manny hits into the double play. I mean, they had an opportunity to win the game. But they flashed it sometime over the weekend. I don't know how many extra base hits 6 through 9 has in the order. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sure Chiron Bob has them. But the Padres, did you listen to this and tell me if you're surprised? The Padres 6 to 9 batters this year are tied for the most in Major League Baseball for extra base hits.
That does not surprise me.
Does not surprise me one bit.
Nope.
I mean, talk about a drastic difference between last year's depth where 6 through 9 was just automatic outs. And this year's 6 through 9, where they're not only putting the ball in play, they're not only getting on base, they're slugging down there at the bottom of the order. They've been doing their job. I just wanted to point that out on top of what Frank was saying, because the bottom of the order has done a really good job. But you go back to the leadoff deal. We talked about this last week. First batter of the game for the Padres still has 2 hits. They've played 22 games. They've played 33 games. They have 33 plate appearances. The leadoff man of a game for the Padres is 2 for 29 with 3 walks now. Do you know what that average is? 0.69 with
nice.
A 182 on base percentage. I mean, say what you want about slugging in the leadoff spot. I mean, let's not get greedy here. Let's find a way to get on base to start the game. 0.69, 182, a 103 slug for a 285 OPS. Batting average on balls in play, 111. Ramon Laureano in 22 games started. His first at-bat of the game, he's 2 for 18. He's gotten on base 5 times with 3 walks and the 2 hits. He's hitting 111 with a 273 on base percentage. That needs to obviously change. When you look at leading off an inning, those numbers aren't very good either. Padres in any type of leadoff role hitting 208 with a 630 OPS. That is leading off any inning this year. And again, we go back to it all the time. The guys that have done the best is, surprisingly, Gavin Sheets hitting 318 and Jackson Merrill hitting 250. Those are the 2 guys. Miguel Anduhar, he's done it 13 times. He's hitting 308. Maybe there's something to that. We'll talk about that later on the show. The offensive struggles. Overall numbers are abysmal. Most players are streaky, production often clustered in short, hot stretches. And when we come back, we're going to do a little buy or sell with some of the starts of the season. We're a month into the year. Frank compiled a lot of the offensive numbers. We're going to tell you whether or not it's concerning or it's just early. We'll do that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing Number Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 10:24 on a Monday. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We're the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Thanks again for joining us today. We appreciate you guys joining us each and every day. We're here from 10 to 2 every single day. We are live on YouTube. If you missed any part of the show, you could go back and watch on YouTube from the beginning. It's great. It's good stuff. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page. Again, I haven't reminded a lot of people in the last couple of weeks. We went over 1,000 subscribers. We're trying to add more. Do us a favor. Go to youtube.com/@B_SURP and subscribe to our page. We got a lot more content out there. We're going to be talking about a lot of content today that involves San Diego. We record them on Mondays. Last Monday, obviously, I was driving back from Stagecoach. This Monday, we'll have a recap of the gold season. We'll talk about San Diego FC over the weekend. We have NHL update for the playoffs, NBA update for the playoffs. All that stuff gets posted throughout the week, live on our YouTube page. If you're a member, you get access to it today. If you're not a member, then you get it on the usual day that we post the clip. We will also, as mentioned before, we do play them in between on commercial breaks. So we have a lot of extra content on our YouTube page. Go to youtube.com/@B_SURP and subscribe. It's free to do. It doesn't cost you anything. And when you go on YouTube, you will get all of our local-based content ready to go on the subscription page, which makes it a lot easier to access us. So if you like what you hear, if you like our show, if you want more Padres content throughout the day, don't have to go searching for it, subscribe to our YouTube page. We really appreciate it. If you're watching on 97.3 The Fans YouTube page, easy to find us. Go to the main page, youtube.com/@973 The Fan. When you scroll down, they have our shows. You can subscribe to all of our shows: Ben and Woods, Braden Surprenant Show, Gwynn and Chris, Sam Levitt, Matt Scraby. There's a little logo for all of us, and underneath the logo, there's a button that says subscribe. Ben and Woods up to 9.3 thousand subscribers. 97.3 The Fan has reached 10,000 subscribers. Gwynn and Chris is up to 714. Let's try to push Gwynn and Chris above, across the 1,000 subscriber threshold. They're on there as well. Sam Levitt almost at 6,000, and the Matt Scraby Show is just about almost to the 500 mark. So if you do that and you love San Diego sports, you'll have tons of our content ready to go on YouTube. We really appreciate that. All right, let's get to part one of this two-part segment we're going to do about the offense. So I mentioned it going to break. Overall numbers for this offense are abysmal. Most players have been very streaky. Production is often clustered in short, hot stretches. Look at Jackson Merrill. Look at Ramon Laureano. Look at Manny Machado. Padres, much worse first time through opposing starters for strong second and third time through. There are 497 OPS as a team first time through a starter. Second and third time, 730 and 732. I think that shows kind of the adjustments that they make throughout the game and the game plan that they have. But they have failed to work counts effectively during the skid that they have been on, especially early in games against starting pitchers. And we talked about the leadoff numbers. I'll go through them again. The Padres, when leading off an inning, and I'm not talking about the number one batter in the lineup for the lineup, because most of the time it's been Ramon Laureano, and he hasn't done that great in the leadoff spot. But here's the deal. I just think that if you're going to look at leading off an inning, or you're going to look at like who needs to be the leadoff guy, you need to have a guy that knows how to lead off games. And here's how everybody has done leading off innings. Ramon Laureano has obviously done it the most because he's been the leadoff hitter for the most time. But he's hitting a $150 when leading off an inning on the season. 150 with a 436 OPS, and he has struck out 13 times, more than anybody else, and it's not even close. And I get it. He gets more plate appearances, more at-bats, yada, 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 yada. Manny Machado hitting 212 as the leadoff guy. Fernando hitting 214, leading off innings with a 540 OPS. Xander Bogaerts hitting 148, leading off innings. Jackson Merrill hitting 250. That's actually one of the better performances out of somebody batting leadoff. And what I mean by that, I mean leading off an inning. Jake Cronenworth hitting a $125. Gavin Sheets has actually done the best. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if they had Gavin Sheets lead off the game, because the guy's hitting 318 in his 22 plate appearances when leading off an inning. Nick Castellanos, next guy on the list who has at least 15 plate appearances. He's hitting 063. Ty France in 15 plate appearances batting leadoff is hitting 267. So maybe it's more so of like just leading off the inning. I mean, they don't have anybody on this team right now that's really doing a lot of damage as a potential leadoff hitter. Maybe it's Merrill. Maybe it's Gavin Sheets. Miguel Anduhar has only done it 13 times, so I don't think it's enough of a sample size. But they have a problem with leading off innings. They have a problem with leading off games. You want to talk about the leading off a game stat? We talked about that kind of in our open, but the Padres, when leading off a game, are hitting 069 with a 285 OPS. They have 2 hits in 33 games when leading off a game. Padres had 33 guys lead off a game. 33 at-bats, I should say, plate appearances. Only 2 of them gotten a hit. They've walked 3 other times. Not really efficient for an offense. Now, let's talk about this offense as a whole. And we're going to start this and then continue it into the next segment. But when looking at some of these starts to the season, because we're now into May, we got a full month under our belt. We're going to, ESPN gave out letter grades for every team for the first month of the year. And the question's going to be, is this a concern or is it still early in the season? And Frank, I mean, as much as it's easy probably to start with, Fernando, because that seems to be the biggest talking point. Let's start with Fernando and really dive into this, because I've seen a lot of people on social media that are like just so done with Fernando Tatis Jr. because he hasn't hit the ball over the fence. And here's the other like lazy narrative, the whole like blame the media because we're not like cursing the guy for not hitting home runs. Like it's our fault the guy's not hitting the ball over the fence. I think everybody needs to take a big, deep breath and relax when it comes to Fernando Tatis Jr., which I guess is putting the cart before the horse on this particular segment. But Frank, go ahead and tell us what Fernando has done so far this year.
So right now, Fernando's numbers, 261 average, no homers, 13 RBIs. He's got a 333 on-base percentage and a 644 OPS. His last 7 games, he's 8 for his last 27, 1 RBI, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 3 stolen bases. I'm not concerned by his lack of power. For me, it's the 1 RBI in the last week. That's kind of a concerning thing for me. The 3 stolen bases.
I think that's more concerning about the offense than anything else, but yes.
Yeah. The 3 stolen bases is nice for sure, but 8 for his last 26. You can't be mad about 8 for your last 27. You can't be mad about that.
I understand to an extent, and I this is just going to keep happening until Fernando just starts hitting home runs.
We're trading him again, by the way, even though Bob Nightingale said we're not.
Give me a break, Harold Reynolds. Don't get me started on that. Get me started on that later in the show, but not right now. But that whole thing is crazy. He's got the best hard hit rate in all of baseball. He's hit the ball. He has the most hard hits out of anybody in Major League Baseball. The bat speed's crazy. The exit velocity is crazy. The hard hit percentage is crazy. All those things are super high. He is adjusting his swing. Plain and simple. By the way, shout out to the guy that didn't listen to our segment on Friday that detailed his attack angle and then said it was like groundbreaking news on a tweet. Yeah, we talked about it. We've been talking about it for the last 2 weeks. Thanks for listening. Seriously, he's fixing his swing. Tony mentioned it on the roundtable. It's not going to happen overnight. As much as my grandfather talking about this yesterday. Like, how long has he been on the Padres? I'm like, since 2019. You think he would have fixed the swing by then? Okay. Well, he didn't have that problem a couple of years ago.
Boy.
He's still contributing, though. If Fernando was hitting like Jake Cronenworth right now, then I would say absolutely we have a massive problem on our hands. But he's not. He's still contributing, hitting 261, whatever it is, still getting on base, 333, which, by the way, is good enough for like third highest on the team for qualifying batters. Still having a 311 slug. It's not as high as you want it to be, but it's still okay. His OPS is 644. That needs to be at least in the 700s for a guy like Fernando. I get it. He's not putting the ball over the fence, but it's not a massive problem. His stuff could be slightly tweaked. You know what you can't tweak? Swing speed. You know what you can't tweak? Hard hit percentage. You know what you can't tweak? Adding extra power. He's got all those numbers. He needs to fix his swing. He's fixing it. Level of concern for Fernando, not very high.
I'd put it at 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10. Like, he's not going to hit a home run this year. Maybe he won't. That'd be amazing.
I think there's only 6 qualified hitters that have not hit one, and he is one of them.
Still lacing the ball down the line.
Luis Arraez is another one.
Wow. How about that? Anyway, level of concern for Fernando, not very high. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the other players. Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado, Ramon Laureano, Freddie Fermin, and of course, as everybody has alluded to in the chat, Jake Cronenworth. Yes, we'll discuss that also. Concerning, too early to tell. We've already played a month. Talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Standings Number Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. All guests on 97 to the Fan, join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We are the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are playing a game. It's called Time to Worry or We'll Figure It Out. A little buy or sell here early on. We're talking about the Padres offense. And just for context, as we went to break, Padres offense has been very streaky. A lot of the big-time names have been very streaky. We've seen them all be at nice highs. We have seen them, for most part, at lows this year. Despite that, the Padres still have one of the better records in all of Major League Baseball. So there's some guys that it's not really concerning to me. There's others where I think it is. As for Fernando, I'm not concerned. I get that he's hitting a lot of singles, but I would be more concerned if he was hitting the ball hard and he was hitting under 220 like he was at the beginning of the year.
We've got a couple lineups coming in on Twitter from CJ Greek. He's given us a lefty and a righty lineup. Lefties, Xander, Anduhar, Machado, France, Merrill, Tatis, Lauraniano, Campy, and Cronenworth. And then for righties, Sheets, Merrill, Xander, Manny, Ty France, Bryce Johnson, Fernando, Campy, and Cronenworth.
Interesting. We'll talk about that later on the show.
We will see your lineups. We will discuss them. Tweet at us at @B_SURP show.
All right. Let's get to number 2. So I think Fernando's going to figure it out.
Yes.
Are you on the same page with that?
I am as well. Let's
move on to the next guy. Who do we got?
Jackson Merrill is our next guy. On the season, batting .211, 3 homers, 15 RBIs, a .276 on base, and a .609 on base percentage. He's 6 for his last 28, 1 RBI, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a stolen base. He is starting from looking at his last 7 games, 6 for 28. He's starting to come around. But I don't think, at least from the eye test, his offense has not been like that big, like what we expected to see after his rookie season. He has been a lot slower, and this turnaround is coming a lot slower. Like he's getting all of his hits in one game and then going over for a week.
Here's my thing on Jackson Merrill. Okay, I thought in his rookie year they did a really good job of protecting him.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is he got to hit near the bottom of the order and stay near the bottom of the order because he was having success as a rookie at the bottom of the order. That was back in 2024. He ends up being an all-star that year, has a great rookie season.
Hit 292, 24 homers.
Correct. He slugged 500, 826 OPS. Guy had insane numbers. And if it wasn't for Paul Skeens, he would have won the Rookie of the Year. Now, leagues are going to adjust. And last year, I think because of the fact he missed so many games because of injuries. He only played in 115 games last year out of a full potential 162, and he was going to get days off, but he played 156 games his freshman campaign, if you will. And his sophomore year, he only played 115 games, which is hard to evaluate whether or not he was going to play his way out of that adjustment that the league made on Jackson Merrill. He finished hitting 264 with a 774 OPS. I mean, last year was kind of iffy. His WAR was cut in half almost because of the fact that he didn't play as much. And, you know, I think it's hard to evaluate year number 2. Year number 3, you know, he's off to a slow start. He's only played 32 games. I still think that's a small sample size. I'm not that worried about Jackson Merrill, but I'd be more worried about Jackson Merrill than I am about Fernando. And that's coming from a guy like Jackson who has already hit 3 home runs and has 6 doubles and has driven in 15 runs. But based on how he was last year and like a little bit of the regression because of the fact that the league has adjusted to him, I still don't think it's that very high. I still think he figures it out. But if I had to pick between the two, I think Jackson Merrill would be a little bit more concerning to me than Fernando, because you've seen Fernando over a couple of years. And I know Fernando's missed a lot of time with injuries too. But to me, I think Jackson Merrill, I think he's going to figure it out. But he's an interesting case study. Like, this season's a pretty important season, I think, for Jackson in terms of like his career projections. Now, he's under contract for a long time. He's only 23 years old. But I think this is an interesting year.
His expected batting average right now, according to Baseball Savant, is 223. So he is not getting lucky. His launch angle sweet spot percentage is the 25th percentile, which is not good. His squared up percentage, he is in the 2nd percentile, which is the opposite of where you want to be. So he is not hitting the ball well at all, and he's not expected to have much better results than he has. If I was at a 2 on Fernando, I think Jackson will get it figured out. I agree, but I'm at about a 6 with Jackson because this is really concerning. He needs to be moved out of that number 3 spot in the order quickly.
I do agree with that as well. I still think that you should have Merrill bat leadoff and Ramon bat third until further notice. But you have to, like, the one time that he got to get more than just one start in the leadoff spot. I think Jackson puts together good at bats. I think with him batting leadoff, Fernando behind him, and Lauraniano and Machado and Bogarts coming up after, I think that is a good way to keep the lineup lengthened. I think it's a good way to protect Jackson Merrill. I'd like to see him more in the leadoff spot. I think he has shown that he could do a pretty good job leading off innings as well. But overall, in terms of like the level of concern, I got about a 5. You got a 6. I got a 5. I still think he figures it out. But again, he didn't play a lot last year in comparison to the first year. And based on these numbers, the more he continues to play like this, which I don't think will be the case, the more year 1 starts to become not the norm.
Yeah.
And this becomes the norm. I think he's going to turn it around. I need to see way more than 136 plate appearances.
Next up, Manny Machado, batting 229, 5 homers, 18 RBIs, a 338 on base, 742 OPS, 9 for his last 27, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts for Manny. He is starting. If I was at maybe a 5 with Manny before, it's now at about a 4 or a 3, because now he's starting to show the signs of coming out of that April slog that he has been known for his entire career.
And somebody asked, like, Merrill batting leadoff with a 276 on base percentage. I'm going strictly off of what he does when there's nobody on and nobody out and he leads off an inning. Because I'm going to tell you right now, ain't nobody on this team that's a leadoff hitter.
No.
Is that a hot take?
No,
there's
that is
nobody
one
on this team as a leadoff hitter.
Mm-hmm.
So just based on like leading off an inning, what he has done in leading off an inning, yeah, I would put him near the top because he actually has done very well in that particular role. And I don't think you could, I think leadoff specifically, you can't evaluate what your on base percentage is when you're looking at, guys that are in different spots that have to do different roles. I think specifically when you look at what he has done in a leadoff spot, which would be coming up with nobody on base and no outs. Out of everybody on the Padres, it's him and Sheets that have been the most consistent, and I'd rather have Merrill do it than Sheets. I don't really care what his baseball savant numbers say. I don't care what his on-base percentage numbers say. I care about what it is to be a leadoff guy, and right now there's nobody on the team that can be a leadoff guy. He's the one that has done the best when leading off an inning. I think you got to give him a chance. That's where I'm at with that. Back to Manny. No, I'm not concerned about Manny Machado, and I said this at the beginning of the year. I say it every year. Every single year, Manny puts together a year that is a high WAR season, and every single year he hits around 270, and every single year, in terms of home runs, he's close to 30, and every single year when it comes to RBIs, he's close to 100, a little bit over, a little bit under, and every single year when it comes to OPS, it's in the 800s or more, or around 800 or more. Until that falls off for an entire season, I'm not going to be worried about Manny Machado. And you said it right there, Frank. He's slowly starting to turn it around. He never does well in April. He's had a fluke season one time that he did very well in April. He does better in the middle part of the season. I'm not concerned about Manny Machado. If you look back, how many games did you go off of?
That's 9 for his last 27. That's the last 7 games.
He's 12 for his last 36, by the way. Do you know what a batting average that is? A 333 with a 1007 OPS. That is since the second game in Colorado. That's what his numbers are. He's going to turn it around. I have zero worries about Manny Machado.
Next up, Ramon Laureano. Hitting 237, 4 homers, 18 RBIs, a 303 on base, and a 710 OPS. He's 4 for his last 24, 3 walks, 1 stolen base, 11 strikeouts. I'm starting to really get worried about Ramon Laureano from where he was at the start of the season. They threw him in the leadoff spot, and he has plummeted off a cliff ever since.
I'm not worried about Ramon Laureano unless he continues to be the leadoff hitter. I think he needs to get out of the leadoff spot. You tried it out. You experimented with it. At the time, he was your best hitter on the team through a couple of weeks of the season. But since you moved to the leadoff spot, he has been not good. And it's time to move someone else there, because I think this team is better when Ramon Laureano is hitting. And if the fact that nobody can bat leadoff on this team, why sacrifice one of your better hitters to start the season and put him in the leadoff spot? If that's the case, you might as well just throw anybody up there and see if something sticks and let them be the first out of the game. Let Ramon Laureano hit in the middle of the order. That guy is a middle of the order hitter. When he was protected and he was hitting lower in the order, he was out there putting up numbers. Now, here's the thing. This is what I said to everybody that says guys at the bottom of the order need to be moved up. I think Ramon Laureano is the perfect example of why you don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
He was having all this success in the 7th spot. You move into the top 3, and guess what happened?
Since he's gone to the leadoff spot, I believe, if I remember correctly, he was hitting 357. He's lost 120 points on his average since he's moved up to the leadoff spot.
Correct. I mean, I bet you could look at his career splits. It's probably not that great. But there are certain players on every baseball team that are good in certain roles. To me, Ramon, anywhere between 3 and 7 should be where he's hitting. Somewhere in the middle. Somewhere where he's protected. Somewhere where he doesn't have to try to do a job that is not his job to do. So, I didn't mind the choice at the time. I thought if you were going to go with the approach of getting your best hitter as many opportunities as possible, at the time, I agreed with the decision. At this point in time, I think it's time to move on from Ramon Laureano in the leadoff spot. I'm not going to sit here and say it was dumb to do that, because it wasn't. At the time, this is not like Monday morning quarterbacking. This is, all right, we've seen enough data. We've seen enough of Ramon Laureano in the leadoff spot. At the time, it seemed like a really good move. I still agree with the decision. It's time to move somebody else into that spot, because you got to get Ramon Laureano going. So, concern-o-meter with Ramon Laureano. If he's batting leadoff, 7. We have a problem here, because this guy was brought in to be a hitter. If he's not batting leadoff, it probably goes down to a 4. Not as much. I know that sounds crazy, but the numbers are the numbers. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's going on in Lake Elsinore Storm a little bit. Prospects on the way. What's Lucas Giolito up to? We'll get a report when we come back as we are joined by Josh Richardson, Lake Elsinore Storm broadcaster of the Braden Surprenant Show. Round number 2 of the Braden Surprenant Show on a Monday. Talking Padres baseball. We're going to table our conversation about whether or not it's what did we call this? Time to worry, or they will figure it out for the Padres offense. We went through almost all of the names. We have a couple more that we want to get to that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But from the big league club to the minor leagues, we've been giving you a minor league report each and every week, going through the different minor league organizations of the San Diego Padres. It's time to get to low A Lake Elsinore. And joining us now on the SDCCU fan hotline, it's not Big Bang Banking, it's better, is the play-by-play man for the Lake Elsinore Storm. Storm broadcaster Josh Richardson joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. Josh, what's going on? Nice little off day usually for the minor leagues on a Monday. How's your Monday going?
Yeah, Monday's going good. I'm actually back in central New York now. I've just graduated, or I'm about to graduate from Syracuse University. So I've got my grad week coming up now. So really excited about that. And then, can't wait to get back out to California and for some more Storm baseball. They've been playing really well lately.
Yeah, they have been playing really well lately. Congratulations, obviously, to graduating from college. It's always fun time. Let's talk about what's going on with the Lake Elsinore Storm. I think at the first conversation about the Storm, most Padres fans want to know what the latest is on Lucas Giolito, how he looked like in his rehab start, what he has looked like, helping out the team as he shows up every once in a while, and what the latest is on Lucas Giolito.
Yeah, his first start, honestly, it looked a lot better than what the final game line showed when he pitched against Visalia back on April 25th. He went just 2 2/3 innings. He gave up 2 hits, but it wasn't really very hard contact. He did give up a few walks. That was kind of the big thing, is it was 3 walks in those 2 2/3. And, he's certainly getting back in the groove of things with command. Obviously he missed, a portion of the end of last season with the Red Sox and then couldn't pitch in the playoffs. So certainly getting back into the swing of things now, just signing not very long ago with the Padres organization. So still trying to get the command down, but he had 4 strikeouts in less than 3 innings. So he pitched pretty well there. Against Ontario, he went a little bit longer, went over 4 innings, had 6 strikeouts. Again, I really don't think at this point, looking at the final line and just kind of going off of this is how many hits, this is how many runs he gave up. It really is just kind of about what do the numbers look like under the hood? Are the strikeouts good? Is the command good? Walks went down to just 1 4 1/3 in that second start. Strikeouts jumped up too. What those kind of things are looking like is a really good way of kind of judging, how soon he could be back up with the major league club. And I think there's been some definite improvement from that first to second start. And I think that's just going to continue to grow and grow as he really starts to get back into, just kind of the routine of pitching throughout a minor league and then major league season.
Has he mentioned at all how he's felt after the last 2 starts?
Yeah, he said that he felt pretty good, and especially after that first start, he felt pretty loose and ready to go. Just kind of excited to be back out there. It is kind of a waiting game of where is he going to sign, and especially after the season has already started about a month or so at that point. But I think he's happy to be back out there and getting ready to just get back up or really get down to San Diego pretty soon.
We're talking with Josh Richardson. He is the play-by-play man of the Lake Elsinore Storm, giving us a report on the low A affiliate of the San Diego Padres, longtime minor league affiliate of the San Diego Padres. Lucas Giolito, obviously on the rehab assignment, is storyline number 1. In terms of top prospects, the one that I think a lot of Padres fans are paying attention to, of course, high draft pick from not too long ago in Cruz Schoolcraft. Obviously, his underlying numbers don't look very good. He had a rough outing in his first outing, but I think he has bounced back since then. What has Cruz Schoolcraft done so far for the Storm this season?
Yeah, those first couple appearances for Cruz were definitely on the downslope of things. Command was a really, really big problem to start off the year. In his first start, just went the 1 inning, 4 walks, 4 hits. A lot of it was just, it was either out of the zone because he couldn't locate it, or it was right down the middle. as the season has gone on, it's gotten a little bit more promising. Against Stockton, 3 innings, just 1 earned run, struck out 3. It started to get a little bit better. Against Visalia, went 3 innings again, and then against Ontario, back on the 1st, he went 3 1/3. It was his longest start of the season. So the biggest thing for him is, he's still a very raw prospect. He's 19 years old, coming out of high school. He really only has, 2.5 pitches. He's got a great fastball. He's got a nice slider, trying to locate that and get ahead in count so he can use that slider. But when he's not locating with the fastball, you can't really go to that slider early in the count. At least that's kind of what his idea in the design for how he wants to kind of mix up, the matchups. It's getting that changeup to a spot where he's comfortable throwing that, at a solid minor league level, throwing it for strikes, throwing it for swing and miss, throwing it to get some weak contact and keep it on the ground. He's somebody that can be really, really good. He's 6'8", he's 230 pounds, he's a lefty. He's everything you would look for out of, a top prospect to pitch at this kind of a level. As the season has gone on, he started to look a little bit better, and he's still only 5 starts in. So, come and talk to me in the middle of June, late July, maybe around that All-Star break period. I think the trends and kind of what he's been doing are really going to start looking on the up and up.
You look at the top 10 prospects for the San Diego Padres, and a lot of them are in Lake Elsinore right now. Obviously, you mentioned Cruz Schoolcraft, but also Humberto Cruz, Jorge Quintana, Ty Harvey, Ryan Weidman, Cale Fountain, all part of the Lake Elsinore Storm. But 2 that I want to address right now, somebody that I have gotten to see a lot as a player when he played at the University of San Diego before he ended up transferring. Justin Acricio's off to a great start, but also Cray Lott had a great day yesterday or over the weekend, going 5 for 5 against Ontario. These are some of the guys that are not part of the top 30 prospects for the San Diego Padres, but are showing off some impressive skills at the lower levels. What does this say about, what AJ Preller can do with some of the talent you guys got there in Lake Elsinore?
Yeah, and how about the clutch factor with Quay Lott as well in that game against Ontario? Because one of those home runs that he hit was with the Storm down to their final strike. So he can perform in the big moments too. But, since he's come on the team, and it's unfortunate because, he really stepped in. Cale Fountain out for the season with a shoulder injury. So that's really where Lott has kind of found his place. But to kind of bring that guy up and to have that kind of performance early on, it would be nice to see if the bat can kind of keep up. But, he's off to a really good start. You mentioned Justin Acricio as well. He's hitting really well. He's got 3 home runs this season. Connor Westenberg isn't even on the top 30 prospects, and he's hitting well over 300 with 14 stolen bases. A lot of guys that, maybe haven't gotten the recognition at the minor league level that they maybe necessarily deserve. But I think it really does speak to the development and what the Padres have been able to do. And it's funny because I think at this point, Preller is very, very well known for making that splash move and kind of just trading those really good prospects to try and get the really good big league player, right? He did it with Juan Soto. He did it with Mason Miller. But you have to also give credit to him and to the rest of the minor league staff and, all of those prospect evaluators and player evaluation tools that they have to locate those really good prospects and then using some of those trade pieces. So I think finding those guys, those diamonds in the rough, is definitely something that, it's always great that he has been able to do, and he clearly still can do it because a lot of these guys that aren't in that top 30, and there are a lot of guys. I believe there's 8 of the top 30 prospects are in Lake Elsinore. Some of those, a lot of those guys have been contributing to the team so far. But when you look at some of those biggest names, the Justin Acricio, the Connor Westenberg, some of those guys are really, really pitching or playing well. When your Churio's pitching really well also, those are the guys that have really, really helped this team a lot so far. So credit to Preller and, just the rest of the staff for being able to find those guys. And, they've done their part on the field too.
Last thing for you, Josh, just an overall synopsis. Tell us where the Lake Elsinore Storm are in the standings for anybody that's driving around that might be interested in what the Storm have been doing. Sounds like they've had a pretty good start to the season.
So far, they have the first 2 series of the year, a little bit of a shaky start, dropped 2 out of 3 in Ontario, then split against Rancho, and then dropped 4 of 6 against Stockton. The last 2 series, though, have won 11 of 12, a full 6-game sweep over Visalia, and then won 5 out of 6 at Ontario. Dropped on Tuesday, won Wednesday through Sunday. This team in sole possession of first place in the South Division, right now tied for the best record in all of the California League. They're playing really well. If you can make it out to a Storm game, I would do it, because with these top prospects, there's no guarantee how long they're going to be down in Lake Elsinore for long if they keep this up.
Always a great relationship between the Lake Elsinore Storm and the San Diego Padres, especially with some rehab assignments as well. Storm off to a great start. Josh, appreciate the time. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the graduation ceremonies, and have safe travel back to Lake Elsinore.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Josh Richardson, play-by-play man of the Lake Elsinore Storm, joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. So a lot of good information out of Josh when it comes to what's going on down there in the minor leagues. And he mentioned it. I mean, they have most of the top 10 prospects out of even the top 30 prospects right now for the Padres. We talked about them being young. We talked about them being at the lower levels. They're on the Storm. Storm are dominating, especially in the last couple of weeks. I mean, they got a lot of talent down there, and a lot of the guys that are leading the way are guys that are not even on the top 30 prospect list. I think this really shows what A.J. Preller can do with an organization, and why I am not really concerned every time he trades the farm from him stockpiling more players. I mean, they just continue to find players year in and year out. When we come back, we're going to go back to the worry meter on some of the offensive players for the Padres. And is it time for Miguel Anduhar to start almost every day? We'll address that question when we come back as well. The Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Number One Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. 11:18 on a Monday. Just talked about the Lake Elsinore storm a little bit, and just kind of to recap, Frank, on what we heard from Josh, the play-by-play man of the Josh Richardson of the Lake Elsinore storm. It happens every year, dude. Every year they start having guys. Now I watched Justin DeCrisio play at USD. The kid's really good. He's not very tall, but you know what? The guy's a baller. He's got one of the best gloves you'll ever see. He can play shortstop, third base, all over the infield. He's raking right now in Lake Elsinore. He's not on the top 30 list. You talk about Cray Lott, his 5-for-5 day and the game-leading home run, game-changing home run. These are players that AJ Preller finds that end up getting traded at some point, playing somewhere else. But these are the guys that are usually the ones that start making a lot of noise. A lot of the guys that aren't on the top 30 list. And you're seeing it again with the Storm. Storm are off to a great start to the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always fun to watch these guys. And that's what we discussed doing this last year when we had all of the affiliates on during All-Star Week last year. We wanted to keep you guys updated and keep you guys informed on what's going on down in the minor leagues for this reason. So you guys are more engaged with the entire organization, that you know these guys as they come up through the system and eventually, as you said, get traded away. So this way, at least you know what you're giving up. So it's been a great success. And starting next week, we're back up to AAA El Paso.
I like the rotation we have here, because then it's like you get a full month.
Mm-hmm.
We're still doing the same updates every whatever, but we get a monthly update on every affiliation for the San Diego Padres. And so far, a lot of them off to pretty good starts. And we'll get an update on the El Paso Chihuahuas on Monday, as you mentioned, next week. Good
to hear Crew Schoolcraft starting to turn it around after a couple of rough starts. And I don't think he mentioned it, but Lucas Giolito, I think that 2 2/3 inning, part of that was he got hit. He got hit with a comebacker.
He did get hit. He had left early.
In that game.
Precautionary.
He said he felt fine after that and was right up for his next start. So it's nice, especially it was very, very good timing now that we got Lake Elsinore on with Lucas Giolito being down there.
Let's go back to the offense for a second. There's a couple more names that we wanted to buy or sell on our time to worry, or we'll figure it out. We think Fernando's going to figure it out. We think Merrill's going to figure it out. We think Machado's going to figure it out. Ramon Laureano, I think if they move him in the order, he's going to figure it out. I don't like him in the leadoff spot. I don't think it's a good spot for him to be in. I would love to have Fernando back in the leadoff spot. If you don't want to do that, I think it's time to give Jackson Merrill a chance. And again, I know what his overall numbers are. I know what they are. I would only put him there because he has done a good job in leading off innings. Go look on Baseball Reference. Go check out what he's doing when leading off innings. He's doing fairly well. That's the best chance you're going to have as a leadoff potential, aside from just batting your most athletic player in Fernando Tatis. Maybe Fernando batting leadoff again will get him in a spot where he doesn't feel pressure to drive in runs. He just go out there and play. I still think Fernando's your best opportunity option as a leadoff guy, but if you still want to wait for him later on in the year, or like later in the order to drive in runs, whatever it may be, then have Jackson Merrill go there. How about that too? Like, everybody was complaining about Fernando doesn't have enough home runs with people on base. We got to get him on a leadoff spot. Now he doesn't hit home runs at all. I'd rather have solo shots than no home runs, right? Maybe we should have him bat leadoff. Anybody changing their mind on that again? Who's always wanted him to bat leadoff? Us. This show. Maybe you should put him back there. What's the saying on the show, Frank?
Right, but too early.
That's right. Maybe we'll see it again. All right. 2 final players on this list.
Yeah, this one has been kind of surprising now that he's kind of taken on the everyday role for this team. Freddie Fermin, only batting $170, no homers, 3 RBIs, hitting .292 on base percentage and a .537 OPS. He's 5 for his last 29. That's over the last 2 weeks, with 1 RBI, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. And if you look at his baseball savant page, there's a lot of blue when it comes to the batting categories. His expected batting average is $195, slugging percentage is .271. His average exit velo is only 87.2. So it's not been a good welcome to the everyday catcher role for Freddie Fermin this season.
Let's talk about this for a second. You know, Freddie Fermin has always been a backup catcher.
Yes.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in his defense there, let's make sure this is perfectly clear. Has he always been a backup catcher because he is a backup catcher, or is it because the fact that, I don't know, Salvador Perez is in front of him?
It's probably the fact that he was catching behind one of the greatest catchers of all time.
Correct. So, like, just because he's been a backup catcher his entire career doesn't necessarily mean he is strictly a backup catcher. And when the Padres acquired him, he looked pretty good out of the gate, starting every day. He was a dog for the Kansas City Royals. I still think he's a dog. I still like Freddie Fermin. I think he could be a really gritty player for this team. I like him behind the dish, all that. But you really took a chance on him because you thought he could potentially be a starting catcher. Because why?
He sat under the Salvi Perez learning tree for so long. You also didn't know what you were going to get out of Camposano.
That's more what I was going with. Correct.
Solids.
Like, you didn't have anybody, right? And you didn't think, based on the track record so far, was Camposano couldn't be a starting catcher. Or maybe you were having second thoughts about Camposano being a starting catcher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you have a situation in which Camposano can kind of be a starting catcher. I think he has earned the opportunity to try to be the starting catcher of this team. What's been the biggest problem with Camposano? It's like, oh, well, he hasn't really handled the pitching staffs well, couldn't throw anybody out. He's been pretty good defensively. And his offense is where it's better than expected. I mean, I'm sure it's going to come down a little bit. And I know I'm the biggest advocate of let guys play in the roles that they're designed to be, but Luis Camposano was a high prospect for a long time. This was supposed to be like the catcher of the future for a long time. And now he's showing he might be. So my level of concern, I am concerned about Freddie Fermin and hitting for an entire year because he hasn't really transitioned into the starting role as well as I think the Padres expected him to. That's the bad news. The good news is Luis Camposano is playing like a starter. So for me, a little concerned about the stick because Fermin has always had good numbers throughout his career. He's always had good. He hit 281 his first full season as a backup catcher. He hit 271 in 2024. Last year combined with Kansas City and the Padres, hitting 251. He's only hitting 170 right now. And I find it interesting that you look at last season, he's hitting 255 for the Royals last year with a 648 OPS, kind of pretty solid. As soon as he went to a role in which he had to start every single day or become the everyday starter, his numbers went down for the second half of the season with the Padres. And then they've gone down again. So if he continues to be the starting catcher, my level of concern is very high for Freddie Fermin. I don't necessarily know if he could do that from a hitting perspective. But with Luis Camposano, and they're almost trading reps now. It's not like Luis Camposano's playing like every 2 days, like every 3 days, 3 or 4 days.
No, they're in full platoon now.
They're in full platoon mode. I would start favoring getting more starts to Camposano and less to Fermin. Let Fermin be the role he's always been, which is a backup catcher, and see what you got out of Luis Camposano. And if not, go back to the platoon. But if they don't do that, high level of concern for Fermin on the offense. If they do that, I think he'll figure it out. I think he's going to go back to being a good hitter that he was. A solid hitter. Not a great hitter, but a solid hitter. Something that you can work with as a catcher, Frank. That's how I view that situation.
You're not going to see numbers on his Baseball Savant page because he doesn't qualify. He hasn't had enough at-bats, especially on the hitting. But, I mean, I'm trying to just gauge, like, all of his offensive numbers. He's either 30th percentile or lower. His defensive numbers, though, are solid. His blocks above average, 62nd percentile, caught stealing above average, 84, framing 68, pop time 88. So he's fine defensively. Offensively has really not come around for him at all. And now you're at a point where he might be the backup stopgap for Ethan Salas, who's looking very, very good. And if he continues this way, he might end the season in AAA El Paso. So I'm concerned and kind of upset about how Freddie Fermin has turned out, because he looked like he was going to be very, very good last year. You knew him being under the Salvage learning tree for his entire career. He was going to come over with some knowledge on how to do it on a daily basis. But unfortunately, it's looking like it's kind of a me situation where, yeah, you can take in the knowledge, but doing it on an everyday basis might be a bit of a problem.
How about the catching situation in general for the Padres from a year ago to now? Last year, you had Elias Diaz and Martin Maldonado basically on one-year contracts, and they weren't very good. And Ethan Salas was hurt for the entire year. You had lost him at this point in the season last year. He's done for the year. Mm-hmm. Now you have Freddie Fermin, who could be probably your backup catcher until he retires. He's 31. You have him under contract till 2030. Luis Camposano, at age 27, who, and again, small sample size, he could go back into the tank very quickly. But Luis Camposano is under control for the next 3 years. He's a free agent in 2029. And he could be your starter the next couple of years at catcher. And you know what? As you talk about it right now, I think a lot of people driving around are going to be okay with that, with the way he's hitting. Again, small sample size. And now you have Ethan Salas on his way up. And it sounds like he is improving from last year. It sounds like he's not getting hit too hard on the injury from the year before. And again, what is he, like 19 years old? Is he even 20 yet? I don't think he's 20 yet. All of a sudden, the catching situation with the Padres, that went from like the biggest weakness of this team to like a massive strength. Let's get to the final player real quick.
I think we all know this one's coming. It's Jake Cronenworth. Batting $147, 1 homer, 4 RBIs, 270 on base percentage, 470 OPS. He's 1 for his last 17 with 2 walks and 4 strikeouts. I know the thought for Jake, especially batting in the 9 spot, was that he was a pest. He also has an on base percentage of 270. So even his best strength is starting to wane now. I don't know how much longer you can hang on here.
When we talked about this 2 weeks ago, his expected numbers were still high. That's not necessarily the case anymore.
No.
And here's the other thing too. Like, I know he's trying to fix his swing. It's not improving. It's not improving. The concernometer or worryometer, whatever it is, Klugometer, yeah. That is at an all-time high with Jake Cronenworth, because there's multiple problems you have here. He's been okay defensively, not super spectacular. He has not really done anything offensively that's worth even really keeping. Oh, and by the way, you still got to pay him $12.2 million every year for the next 5 years, including this year. He's a free agent in 2031. He is not bringing you any value right now. And here's the thing. I don't want to pile on Jake because he knows this, okay? It's not like this is information he doesn't know. He doesn't strut around like he's arrogant, right? It's not like he needs to be humbled. I think he needs to change the mindset of what he is on this team. But at the same time, I don't know what you do with Jake Cronenworth. I don't know what you do with him right now. Because you signed another guy that could potentially help you out that's down in the minor leagues, and Sung Moon Song. And at this point, you almost want to give that guy a shot at second base because Jake is turning into a automatic out. And here's the thing about Jake Cronenworth. For as much as like people didn't like Eric Hosmer, right? Eric Hosmer is still doing a lot better than Jake is right now when they finally got rid of Eric Hosmer. So I don't know what you do with Jake. And here's what I know you can't do. Unless you trade him away, I don't necessarily know. I don't care who the new owners are. I don't care how much money they're willing to spend. You know what's not awesome? Paying a guy $12.2 million a year for the next 5 years. My concerno-meter, worry meter, is at like the highest level when it comes to Jake Cronenworth because he hasn't shown anything to tell you that he's going to play his way out of it, Frank.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate.
It's the clue. Adam is texting us now. It's the worryometer.
Worryometer.
Not the worryometer.
Worryometer. Worryometer, all-time high. When we come back, that might be the case for the Detroit Tigers. We'll get you updated on some news that might have happened in the last 10 minutes or so. Braden Surprenant Show, Settings Over Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 11:40 on the Fan. We got some news with the Detroit Tigers that we want to get to. But first, he's been waiting on hold long enough. We had the guests. We had some other things we had to talk about. But we do got to give the man his window of opportunity here. Derek in La Mesa. Fresh off of his travels to Oregon. Maybe he's still up there. Who knows? Derek, what's going on, man? How's your Monday?
What's going on, brothers? It's another glorious day. 65 degrees in the greater Salem, Oregon area of our country. Having a great time. Quick take on the Padres and their hitting woes, and then I actually have a history lesson for Frank. So, yeah, I'm as frustrated as anyone, Padre fans. Like, we can't hit. Toddy's not hitting home runs. Cronenworth can't hit. Merrill struggling, on and on and on. And I agree with all of you that feel that way. But you know what? To not be a rose-colored glasses guy, I gotta kind of be a little bit. I mean, despite the embarrassing 2 out of 3 loss to the ChiSox, I mean, Padre fans were still winning. And I know what everyone says. Well, when the stars start starring, we're going to smash everyone. But remember, people, it's 162 games. So I can almost guarantee you, when the stars start starring, with regards to the hitters, we're going to win a game 12-11, hopefully, where, you know, Toddy hits 2 home runs and Machado goes 3 for 4 and Merrill gets 2 hits and Cronenworth hits a big home run, and then the pitchers will struggle. This is the game of baseball. It sucks. It's frustrating, and I am frustrated, but let's enjoy the fact that pretty much we're still winning at a pretty good clip. And the last time I checked, they were on schedule to win 100 games. I don't think we will, but let's not get greedy here, people. We're still winning. What are your thoughts on that? But Crony, man, brother, he's killing me as much as I like him, right?
Yeah, he's not doing very well. But you know what? It's Derek. You're right on a lot of those things. I mean, during the course of a 162 game season, the odds of all these guys clicking at the same time are very slim. Now, for the history lesson, Derek, it's time for the history lesson.
Yeah, 100%. So, Frank, here we go, brother. According to legend, in the late 1200s and 1300s, bakers, right? Bakers, like bread guys and stuff like that. They faced heavy fines and punishment if the goods that they baked were light with regarding weight, right? Mm-hmm. So they decided to start making sure that they wouldn't face these fines by giving an extra item in the goods that they produced, right? Mm-hmm. So this is kind of where in lore the term baker's dozen came from, right? Baker's dozen. So my question for you, Frank, is what number is associated with a baker's dozen?
That would be 13.
Frank, you know what? You're a really smart guy. And that is correct. The number is 13, baker's dozen, right? Mm-hmm. So it's amazing. Arson Fudge hit number 13 yesterday, which is crazy. Not in and of itself.
It's the coincidence.
But in addition to Arson Fudge hitting number 13, that also happens to be one more home run than the Metropolitans have wins. That's correct. The Metropolitans have a dozen wins, and Arson Fudge has a baker's dozen in home runs. Is it possible, Frank, that Arson Fudge could out-homer the number of wins that the Metropolitans have in 2026?
You are not going to get me. You are not going to get me to make fun of the Yankees today.
Oh, man. He's not
happen.
Taking the bait. Derek, appreciate the phone call. That was good. That was good. That was so good.
For those,
you know what, Derek, though, before Frank says this, and we got to get to the sports thread. You know what, Derek? The Mets did hang a banner over the weekend, Frank. Yep. Did they not? What did the banner say?
1-2 games in a week.
1-2 games this week. Big round of applause for Frank's Metropolitans. But yes, Aaron Judge does have more home runs than the Mets have wins.
Yeah, you will
currently.
not get me to make fun of the Yankees today with the news that came out. For those of you who haven't seen, longtime New York Yankees radio broadcaster John Sterling passed away today. And love the Yankees or me, hate them. You cannot deny pure entertainment value. And that's exactly what John Sterling brought every single time he called a Yankee game. It was always fun to listen to Sterling when he would call games. Me and my mother would always do the "Oh Curtis, you're something sort of grandish" home run call every single time he would hit a home run with the Mets. So that was a big loss, not just for baseball but for broadcasting as well today. So I will not be making fun of the Yankees today.
He had a great home run call for every Yankee that came through. Always. I mean, I still know it's Labor Day. Like it's so funny. Like
all rise
of them,
for the Judge.
All rise for the Judge was a great one. The Yankees win, and then of course you have the Red Sox fans and David Ortiz making fun of it with the Yankees lose.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he's a legendary broadcaster that people are going to remember in New York for a very long time. I mean, New York gets a lot of broadcasters, and I heard this on Westwood One Sports today. Not a lot of broadcasters are going to be remembered for as long as John Sterling will be remembered in that town for what he had done. And he still was pretty, was he at his top of his game in his 80s? No. But I tell you what, he was still, for all things considering, his last couple of years, still traveling with the team, still being on he was doing a heck of a job as the broadcaster for the New York Yankees at that age. What a wonderful career. And of course, kind of an unexpected passing today. So thoughts are with the Yankees organization, the Sterling family, and everybody who was touched by John Sterling as their play-by-play man, listening to games on the radio in New York.
36 years.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
On to other news in baseball, because we teased this, and then we're going to get to the sports thread. Cody Stavenhagen, who reports on the Detroit Tigers from The Athletic, senior writer at The Athletic covering the Detroit Tigers, he had tweeted this out 12 minutes ago. Tarek Skubal is going on the injured list. He has loose bodies in his elbow and will need surgery. Unclear on the timeline for now. According to Stavenhagen, then after, the next tweet he put out was, AJ Hinch, the manager of the Tigers, said Skubal's arm locked up again during the game last night. The hope is that this will be an easy process and procedure. Tigers are bringing up Ty Madden for tonight's game. Tyler Horton will open for the second night in a row. So Tarek Skubal going on the injured list. He will need surgery. Who knows how long he will be out for, according to reports. As John Heyman reports, it says that there is no timetable set, but it's seen as a relatively routine surgery. Best guess, according to John Heyman, 2 months, potentially. So Skubal might be missing 2 months going into a free agent year, if you will, at the end of the season. So tough news for not only Tarek Skubal, tough news for the Tigers. That's a big blow as we are 1 month into the season. We're going to talk about that from a Major League Baseball standpoint later on in the show today. But it is time to figure out what else is going on in this world of sports. It's time for today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on today?
What is my nickname for the Minnesota mascot?
What is your nickname?
Yeah. Minnesota University.
Oh, the Golden Gophers.
Yes.
Number 1.
This is definitely a Golden Gopher moment. Minnesota Golden Gopher starting quarterback Drake Lindsay was arrested in Arkansas on charges of underage alcohol possession and use of a fake ID after admitting to both at a bar.
Was he at Stagecoach too?
The 20-year-old coming off a strong freshman season was released today after posting bond, and the program says it will handle the matter internally as Lindsay awaits upcoming court dates. While not a major legal case, it's an off-field distraction for a key player heading into the 2026 season. How much should off-the-field incidents like this impact a player's standing with the team, especially when it involves a starting quarterback?
I mean, how many college kids get popped for using a fake ID and underage drinking?
It's funny, though.
It is funny. It's just like, Brendan Sorsby is fighting for eligibility after gambling and getting popped for gambling. At this point, like, probably a slap on the wrist, I guess. An underage adult drank underage. Next story. On to the next one. I don't know. I wouldn't really punish them that much.
If you're going to do this, this is me as the Golden Gopher. Next time you do this, because you're going to do it again, next time you do this, can you find a better ID? How much money we're paying you to be the starting quarterback here? You can't get a better fake that's not going to be called out by some stupid bar hopper, a freaking bar bouncer.
People probably know who he is anyway. That's the other problem. These guys are so famous now. Like, can you really use a fake guy? It's like, oh yeah, really? You're not the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Golden Gophers?
Go Aztecs is
in
right.
Minnesota?
Go Aztecs is it was in Arkansas.
That was in Arkansas.
Go Aztecs, absolutely right. He should have used the McLovin ID.
Number 2.
Like the high school kids are getting popped for that at Stagecoach. I'm just like, that's where you want to try your fake ID? Come on.
The Baltimore Ravens are taking a wait-and-see approach with undrafted quarterback Diego Pavia, who arrived with a major college production and some questions. Despite being a Heisman finalist, Pavia went undrafted and now finds himself competing for a roster spot, with Coach Jesse Minter making it clear the opportunity is there, but nothing is guaranteed. Pavia's resume includes elite numbers at Vanderbilt, but concern about his size, age, and past decision-making linger as he battles for a backup role and tries to prove he belongs at the next level. How often do we see highly decorated college quarterbacks like Pavia overlooked, and what really determines whether that chip on the shoulder translates to NFL success?
He's not going to... I would be shocked if he starts a game in the NFL. I would be shocked. He's already older than everybody else. He already has a bad attitude. He's not very big, and he was solid in college, but he wasn't that great. And he's so involved with himself. I don't know how he's ever going to have success in the NFL.
By the way, foul on the Baltimore Ravens for inviting Diego Pavia to their mini camp instead of their regular-sized camp.
That's a foul on you for making that joke.
He draws the foul.
Everything about the Diego Pavia situation is laughable to me. I mean, if you're the Ravens, you can't not take a chance on a guy when you can invite people to camp. But like, come on, man. He was at he had antics at New Mexico State. He had antics at Vanderbilt. He had antics with the Heisman. He had antics with the whole, like, I'm not picking an agent. It's like, he's got all these problems with him, and he's not better than his problems. I mean, you see athletes that have this happen to. You only tolerate so much with certain players. And if Diego Pavia is not better than his antics, nobody's going to take him on. He's not going to have a successful NFL career, and I don't even think he could be really a backup unless he really changes.
The kid's a fool.
His attitude. He is a fool. I am not a fan of Diego Pavia, and he continues to do dumb things. So it's just so bad. When we come back, Miguel Anduhar conversation. Guy's Mr. Consistent. Should he get more consistent playing time? We'll discuss.
From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, No one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour of the Fan is brought to you by the Craft Taco, bold flavors, 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum.
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where the damn tacos at?
It's good to have Estrada back, huh? He looked good the other day. Good. It's the only bright side of Saturday's game. Estrada looked pretty good. I could use some I could use tacos every day. If somebody said you had to eat tacos every day, would you be upset about it?
No.
No, I wouldn't be upset about it. Absolutely not. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2. San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. Let's dive into what we were going to talk about near the end of the first hour of the show. We had to pigeon it a little. We had to pivot a little bit because of how long our conversation went with time to worry or figure it. Will they figure it out? Segment earlier today. If you missed any of the show, you can go back and watch on YouTube. You can go back and listen in podcast form wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever it may be. You can also listen to us on the Odyssey app. And you can rewind on the Odyssey app. Also great. Now, let's talk about Miguel Anduhar. Miguel Anduhar, when he plays, is kind of carrying the offense a little bit. Miguel Anduhar has been Mr. Consistent. He's been the most reliable bat. He has been the hottest bat for the Padres. He's hitting .316 with an .843 OPS. Now, he's only had 83 plate appearances. He was brought in to just take on left-handed pitchers. But guess who he's feasting on? He is feasting on righties. He's got an ongoing 8-game hit streak. He homered yesterday. And when you look at the offensive numbers for the Padres, their overall numbers are abysmal. Most players have been streaky. Production has often clustered into short, hot stretches. You can look at Jackson Merrill. You can look at Ramon Laureano. Look at Manny Machado. They have all had a couple of stretches where they look really good. They have all had stretches where they have looked, well, not that. Padres overall as an offense are much, much worse the first time through opposing starters of the .497 OPS. They're strong as second and third time through, .730 and .732. They have failed to work counts effectively during this kind of 2-4 skid that they've been on. And despite all of those inconsistencies with the offense, Mr. Consistency, as been pointed out by Kevin Acee, has been Miguel Anduhar. Kevin Acee pointed out in his daily newsletter. He has been the only real consistent producer from the start of the season to now. He homered yesterday, as we mentioned before, has the Padres' highest batting average at .316, highest OPS at .843 among anyone on the team with more than 53 plate appearances. Now, his 83, as mentioned in the article, not enough for him to be a qualifier, as his time has been limited due to a bulky left hamstring. But when you look at Miguel Anduhar, here's some of the details from the article that was mentioned, and we're going to discuss this. It was not anticipated that Anduhar would play every day anyway. He has not started more than 77 games in a season since his rookie year in 2018 due to various injuries. Padres signed him to a 1-year, $4 million deal, almost entirely because of his history hitting left-handed pitchers and their need for someone who could do so. But as mentioned before, he's doing really well against righties, and Anduhar said he's comfortable against righties and lefties. And his ongoing 8-game hitting streak is tied for the longest by a Padres hitter this season, with the one Camposano put together last month. Anytime I'm going to play, I'm going to execute, says Anduhar. Anduhar's 20 for 55 with 4 doubles, a triple, a home run against righties, and 5 for 24 with 2 doubles and a home run against lefties. That home run came yesterday against Anthony Kay. Craig Stammen mentioned the way he has hit the ball this season thus far, the at-bats that he's taken, we feel pretty confident when he's in the box. All right. That leads to the question. Is it time to make Miguel Anduhar an everyday player? I don't think we're at that point yet. I think you have to continue to find ways to put him in the lineup. I know a lot of people want to find a way to get Jake Cronenworth out of the lineup, but I still think with Miguel Anduhar, and Kevin Acey mentions it in the article, but when you look at Miguel Anduhar, he hasn't put together a lot of years where he's playing a lot of games. We said that about Freddie Fermin in the catching situation. Sometimes guys thrive when they are in the correct role. For Miguel Anduhar, right now might be that correct role for him. But at the same time, I know, again, he has only played like a handful of games due to injuries. He is, how old is Miguel? He's 31 years old. I mean, I think the biggest thing holding Miguel Anduhar back from being an everyday starter, I don't think it's his ability. I just think it's his opportunity, or should I say, really ability to stay healthy. When you look at Miguel Anduhar last year, he played 94 games. That's the second most he has played in his entire career, behind the 149 games he played in 2018 in his rookie season. So maybe he has a little bit more stamina in him. I know he's had a bulky hamstring. I think from a production standpoint, I think you need to start seeing Miguel Anduhar in the lineup a little bit more. I don't think it's time to give him an everyday starting spot yet, because I think you got to ease these guys into it and make them earn a little bit more playing time. But as of right now, Frank, he's your most consistent hitter. At the very least, he needs to be playing a little bit more often than he does.
For sure. Anduhar has been very, very good this year. He's been one of your more solid, one of your more reliable guys that you've had in the lineup all year. And again, you brought him in to play as a left-handed specialist DH. That's what you brought him in for. And now he's evolved himself into this bigger role. I don't think I've seen it in chat. I don't think he's a leadoff hitter. You tried that with your best hitter already, and we talked about what it's done to Lauraniano since he's been in the leadoff spot. I also don't think he should be an everyday player. I think he should be playing more often than not. But he's also going to have those days where you're going to need him in left field. You're going to need him in third base. And I don't want him to be in a situation to where he's a DH every single day. Gavin Sheets hasn't played much, so now he's starting to slow up as your DH because now you have Ty France taking over more of the first base role, and it could possibly lead to Anduhar hurting himself. So I want to keep Anduhar as fresh as I can for as long as I can, especially with the production that he's been able to give you so far this year.
The Padres have played 33 games, correct?
Sure.
He's played in 23 of them. So he's played in every game but 10. Now, he hasn't started in every game that he has played, but he has played in every game but 10. How much more of the game should he be playing in? I'll look up his exact number. So he had, never mind. I don't know what that is. It's not what I thought it was. Oh, it's fielding. I guess because he's been a DH. I stand corrected on that. All right. Again, he's still played in every game but 10 at some point in time this season, whether it's starting or not. How many more extra games are you going to give him at this point? I mean, every game but 10 means he's playing multiple times a week. How much more playing time does he need where he's not an everyday starter at that point?
I don't know. I mean, I think I really don't know, honestly, because I think they're using him a little bit too much as the DH. But again, he's got the hot hand. Because I still want to give Sheets enough at bats, especially with France taking over the first base role more. Castellanos still needs to get his at bats. I don't know how much more you could put him in. I think they're shoehorning him in every position that they can right now. I think they're using him more than they probably should be right now, honestly.
Anduhar?
But again, it's hard to take him out because he's the hot hand.
Right, 100%. Anduhar this year, so he's played in 23 games. He has started 7. No, that's just in the 6th spot. He started 7 in the 6th. I'm trying to find how many starts he has. There's so many of these websites where it's like some of them are very easy and some of them are not in terms of like who starts, who doesn't. I just know he's played 23 games. I think he has started most of those games, if I'm not mistaken. Baseball Reference doesn't like having that handy. There's probably other sites that have that. But overall, like, he would have to play, if he was going to start every day, he would have to play, he would have to be the DH. Right? Or is he better off playing when? I mean, is he going to be a better defensive player than some of the guys you have in the lineup right now? I don't know who you would play over. And before everybody says like Jake Cronenworth, who are you going to play second? I guess you can move Tatis to second. You can move guys around. From that perspective, I think it's a little different. He's already played in every game but 10. How many extra games does he possibly, need this year? And when you look at how everybody else has done in terms of starters, according to the standard batting, Miguel Anduhar has played in enough games where Baseball Reference almost considers him a starter anyway. Like, just based on games played, here's your starters. You ready for this? Fermin, Sheets, Cronenworth, Bogarts, Machado, Lauraniano, Merrill, Tatis, and Anduhar. Those have been your more consistent starters of the group. So the question is, how much more playing time does he really need at this point? I don't think it's that much more. I mean, I think he's fine in the role that he's in. I think he's doing a great job. But sometimes when you start adding more of a workload, it changes some things, not only with Anduhar in terms of his physical body, but also with ways teams attack him. But if you look at the games played, the Padres have played 33 games. Not a single Padre has played in all 33 games. Sheets has played in 30 of the 33 games. Cronenworth's played in 31 of the 33. Xander Bogaerts has played in 32 of the 33. Machado's played in 31 of the 33. Laureano, 31 of 33. Merrill and Tatis, both 32 of 33. Anduhar's played in 23 of the 33 games. That's not starts. That's like played in games. I think that also shows you just how much Craig Stammen uses his team. I mean, they're using these guys a lot. If you look at the bench, Castellanos played in 21 of the 33 games. France has played in 19. Campusano's played in 17. Bryce Johnson's played in 18 of the 33 games. And that's all the position players. Of course, Sungmoon Song has played in 1 game. He pinch ran.
He started...
Anduhar, you finally found it?
In 20 games.
So Anduhar's played in 23 games, and he has started 20 of them.
No, he's 21 of them he's started. He hasn't finished all of them. He came in the 7th inning against the Giants on March 30th, came in the 9th against the Rockies on April 9th, started on April 18th, but came out in the 7th, started on the 23rd, came out in the 9th, started on the 29th, and came out in the 9th. Every other game he started. He started all but 2. He's
come in as a pinch hitter twice.
Yeah.
All right. So he has started 21 of the 33 games, which is, let me do some math real quick. 21 of 33. So he has started 64% of the Padres games. Does he need to start 70% of the Padres games?
No.
We're good at 60. So. 64, 65%. I mean, he's probably playing just as much as you would want him to play. And I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, most of the everyday starters are probably starting like 90-something% of the games. I feel like Andujar is probably playing enough. I don't think it's time to give him more of a role. I think we find ourselves in that position a lot because of the fact we see some success out of guys that are not playing as much, but there might be a reason why those guys are having success. I think you could say the same thing about Jackson Merrill and his career in batting lower in the order. Jackson Merrill's done a great job batting lower in the order. Jackson Merrill, like batting to the top of the order, has not been nearly the same since his rookie season. That's something else to talk about, too. Like with Fernando, should he go back to the leadoff spot? I mean, if he's not going to drive in runs and he's not going to slug and he's not going to hit the ball over the fence, why not just start Fernando at the leadoff spot again? Because we've talked about Jackson Merrill doing it. I said this early in the show, and every time I bring it up, people I roll in the sense of Jackson Merrill batting leadoff. But I only bring that up because aside from Tatis, the only other person you would have bat leadoff would be somebody that leads off innings well. And Jackson Merrill's got those numbers with Gavin Sheets, and I like Jackson Merrill over Gavin Sheets in that spot. But it might be time to move Fernando back up to that spot. I don't think you can keep rolling out Ramon Laureano to the leadoff spot. I think the Padres have kind of cratered his offensive production doing that. And that's another guy. That's a guy that like just was doing well near the bottom of the order. Like you got to find different ways at the top. France has done a pretty decent job leading off innings, but not enough where you'd bat him leadoff. Not enough when you bat him leadoff. So I find it interesting. I think it's an interesting conversation, with some of these guys. I think we've already leaned towards Luis Camposano needs to play a little bit more than he has in the past, but he's almost basically platooning with Freddie Fermin now. I don't necessarily know he needs the majority of the starts, but we talked about that potentially being part of the equation. In terms of Miguel Anduhar, just to kind of wrap this segment up, I think we're in agreement that he's probably playing enough. How much more do you think he needs to play, or do you think he's fine, Frank? I think he's probably fine with the amount of playing time he gets.
I think he's fine as well. He's only played 3 games defensively, and one of them he came in late. So as a defensive replacement, that was to play first base. I'm fine seeing how much Andujar is playing, and I think once he cools off a little bit against righties, he'll start to get a little bit less, but I don't see him right now as an everyday designated hitter because you have other guys on this team that need to get those reps also.
Right. I agree. I think Craig Stammen's doing a good job of getting these guys in and out. Over the weekend, we already talked a little bit about Griffin Canning, but interesting roster move yesterday to get Griffin Canning out there. Griffin Canning was expected to get another start in rehab down in El Paso. Instead, the Padres went with him yesterday. How did he look? How does that impact the rotation? We'll discuss that next on the Braden Surprenant Show. Settings Norman Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. 12:24 on a Monday. We're going to talk a little bit about Griffin Canning. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. Still time. Cheer on the Padres at Petco Park. Padres going to be in San Francisco next 3 days. They come back on Thursday. And on Thursday at 7:10, Padres host the St. Louis Cardinals. First 40,000 in attendance. Fans in attendance will receive a flame-throwing Mason Miller bobblehead presented by Cox. Whether he's shutting down batters or throwing an immaculate inning, Miller always brings the heat with his fastballs. Don't wait to secure your tickets. Visit Padres.com/tickets. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. All right, let's talk about Griffin Canning. Before we dive into the analytics of how Griffin Canning pitched, how do we think he did from an eye test perspective, Frank?
He did solid. He did exactly what you expected him to do. You do what you wanted him to do, and I think it's only going to get better from here.
I totally agree. I like the way that he pitched yesterday. I think he pitched really well. I think he pitched well enough to keep your team in the game. As a number 4 starter potentially in the rotation, maybe 3 starter. We'll see what Lucas Giolito is all about. I think it's going to be between those two for who's 3 and 4 until you find out more information about Joe Musgrove and Nick Pavetta. Griffin Canning pitched well enough to fit those thresholds that we talked about, right? 5 innings, 3 runs or less, maybe 4 runs or less in those particular spots. Last night or yesterday, 5-inning outing. He showed plus stuff. He generated a lot of elite swing and miss, even if command was shaky. Like his command was all over the place, right? His command was all over the place. But I thought he had a very solid debut as somebody that hadn't pitched in a year, at a major league level. I thought he was efficient. He had a low run output, strikeout heavy yesterday. And when you start diving into the numbers of what happened, again, 5 innings, 1 earned run. He gave up 3 hits. One of them was the solo shot. Only 3 balls in play became hits, which is fantastic. 3 walks, which he has to limit a little bit. I think he was a little nervous early in the contest. That's why it led to some walks. And he had 7 punch-outs. 16 swings and misses yesterday. 16 whiffs. Got to love that as a pitcher. 73 total pitches, about 14.6 pitches an inning. Efficient for most starters in Major League Baseball. He had a 37% called strike plus whiff percentage. So that's how many called strikes and whiffs divided by amount of pitches that he threw. That's one of the best predictive stats in baseball for future strikeout rates and overall success. That was better than his raw whiff percentage or strikeout per 9 alone. League average is usually in the mid to high 20s. 30% plus, excellent. 37%, elite for a lot of starting pitchers. He was getting strikeouts. He was getting called strikes, ridiculous rate. Now, in terms of some of the graphs that we have shown on this show that grade him, they gave his stuff an A-. Raw pitch quality, velocity, movement, spin, separation from other pitches, excellent grade, and his arsenal had premium stuff yesterday. Locations, D-. This is where the pitches actually ended up versus where he wanted them. He didn't really execute the command that well. Too many pitchers were scattered, especially against left-handed hitters. In terms of his pitcher list, pitch level value that you see on their particular graphic, for this, they grade on a scale of 0 to 10 for every single pitch based on velocity, movement, location, count, batter, handedness, etc. And it measures how valuable and good a pitch should have been for the pitcher, which is independent of the actual outcome, hit, whiff, whatever. He got a average to below overall pitch quality according to PLV, pitch level value on some of these metrics. Take that for what it's worth. In terms of his overall results, the game of B, bottom line on the grades, he got an elite raw stuff yesterday, shaky command a little bit, good but not dominant results out of Griffin Canning. The B and the results show the stuff was good enough to bail him out. I think he was fine there. Four-seam fastball was his number one pitch, roughly 34% usage. Velocity was hitting around 94.7 miles an hour, which was up from where he was last year. Got good extension on his pitches. Induced vertical break around 17.1 inches. That's solid. Got good horizontal break too. When you start looking at the movement of his pitches, it shows a lot of shape to his stuff, which was relative to his velocity. So overall, he looked pretty good. His metrics look pretty good. His analytics look pretty good. This shows that it was a very encouraging start for Griffin Canning. Wasn't just a lucky low run game. Wasn't just like, oh, he was hot. The underlying stuff and the whiff metrics are legitimately excellent out of Griffin Canning. And for a veteran making his Padres debut, showing A- stuff that translates to 16 whiffs and 37% CSW, called strike plus whiffs, that's a huge positive for a first outing for a guy like Griffin Canning. Now, command, very fixable. Command is fixable if the locations tighten up even a little. That strikeout rate and the efficiency is going to stay high while the walks and the home runs drop. And for you Padres fans out there, it should feel good. This looks like a pitcher whose arsenal fits perfectly into the rotation, has room to grow, and we'll finally get to see Griffin Canning working with Ruben Niebla on a more consistent basis. So his stuff was nasty. His quality with the changeup and slider generated a lot of whiffs. His command was off. You expect that for a first major league start back, especially versus lefties. And he still only gave up 1 run in 5 innings on 73 pitches. That's a debut you can build on. So overall, gotta like what Griffin Canning showed yesterday, Frank. And when you go through those numbers, those are encouraging numbers.
Yeah, for sure. And again, this is the guy that you expected to kind of anchor the back end of this starting rotation. When you signed him, you knew he was coming off a lower body injury, not an arm injury. So that kind of weakens some of the worry about him, or lessens some of the worry about him. So no, I'm really not surprised by how he pitched yesterday. And I think it's only, like I said, I think it's only going to get better from here, as he had a wonderful start to his time in a Padre uniform.
I think so too. Now, how does this affect the rest of the rotation? And I think it brings up an interesting talking point that we're going to get to next. And that is, what is moving forward now with the Padres starting rotation? Because they made a move yesterday that was a little unexpected. Armand Marquez got put on the injured list instead of maybe potentially trying to sneak Matt Waldron through waivers. And if you could do that, great. You want to try to keep everybody part of the organization as long as possible. But Griffin Canning being added, Lucas Giolito on the horizon, based on the results that we got over the weekend. What does this say about the Padres rotation? We'll take a look at it again when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Setting Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Need a contestant for the Midday Sports Standoff. If you could call in and take me down in some trivia today, you'd be qualified for our grand prize, which is $500 gift card to Westgate Las Vegas, the home of legendary Vegas fun, now offering the breakaway from fees package, including a $75 daily dining credit, 2-day spa passes, daily cabaret tickets, complimentary valet parking, and $0 resort fees. Special rates starting at $89 a night. Book now at westgatelasvegas.com. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973 if you want to join us today on the Midday Sports Standoff. Let's talk about, which we're doing right now, let's talk about the back end of this rotation. Okay, so we saw Griffin Canning yesterday. Like, Griffin Canning was overall solid, I would say. Okay? He showed exactly why the conversation of the pitching matters. I mean, Canning looked nervous early. He had a 4-pitch walk. He had a couple of meatballs he threw in there, but he settled in fast. He attacked with 4-seamers up in the zone, multiple 94 to 96 mile an hour heaters with 17 to 19 inches of induced vertical break, which is solid. Back-to-back nasty changeups that hard hitter that had hitters lunging at the ball. He had sharp sliders that froze righties, and the new sinker, where he threw 5 of them, all strikes or weak contact, was a Ruben Niebla lab wrinkle that played perfectly off the 4-seamer. He struck out the side in the 5th after getting stronger as the game went on. One true mistake pitch as he grew to 4-seamer in the 3rd inning, then ended up being a solo shot. That was punished, but everything else was very competitive out of Griffin Canning. Walks are still the bugaboo of him, but this was a believable league average starter type outing with mid-rotation upside. Exactly what the Padres signed him to do after he got an Achilles injury that cut his 2025 short. So there's a lot of decisions that need to be made coming up, because you have Walker Buehler part of this rotation. You have Matt Waldron part of this rotation. Obviously, Griffin Canning is part of this rotation. Matt Waldron and Moner Marquez. I mean, when you start ranking what you have here, specifically in the back end, you know, I still think Walker Buehler is the top guy in that group. I mean, he's been volatile early, but he has shown multiple B-level outings analytically. And he has improved over the last couple of outings, which is great to see. He has positive trajectory, and him working with Ruben Niebla, I think, is going to be great. Now, Matt Waldron, I thought he had a very big bounce-back outing in his last outing. He gave you exactly what you need out of a number 5 starter, which is great. And then you have Armand Marquez, who had a rough May 1st outing. Obviously, he is now on the injured list. And I honestly think after the last outing that Armand Marquez has, he might be the biggest question mark. But the decisions that now have to be made with the Padres, how do you slot Canning and Giolito? I mean, Canning isn't fully built up yet, possibly. Giolito won't be either when he arrives. Both were signed precisely because the Padres knew the back end was a little shaky. And this is going to be interesting with how they slot into the rotation. What happens to the current back 3? Pavetta and Musgrove have a timeline, the trade deadline plan. I mean, there's a lot of questions with this rotation, but I will tell you this. Despite all those questions, Frank, I feel a little bit more comfortable with the starting rotation after watching Griffin Canning pitch in his last outing than I did before he pitched on Sunday. I really do.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the concerns around Griffin Canning were a little unfounded after you remind yourself that it was a leg injury, it was a lower body injury that he had, and not an arm injury. So Canning, after watching him last year for the 3 months I was able to watch him with the Mets, he's a solid pitcher that he's there when the moment shines brightest, when you need him to perform, when you need him to have a solid outing. He is there and he will do that for you. So I'm not really surprised by what we saw. It kind of reaffirmed everything that I thought Griffin Canning was going to be. If I were surprised by anything, I think it'd probably be how quality he was from innings 2 to 5 after that shaky opening inning.
Now, obviously, I said at the beginning of the season that this rotation is good enough to make it to the deadline. And I think that is where you're going to see some type of move for this team this year, is going to be in the rotation. The offense is what it is. I don't think that's really getting magically addressed. I mean, the stars need to hit. The bullpen, for the most part, is complete. I mean, maybe AJ Preller adds like a cheap bullpen arm, if you will, to help solidify the bullpen. But like, you have your closer, you have your setup man, you have, kind of your like late inning guys. But come July, I would expect AJ Preller to spend whatever it takes on a starter you trust in a playoff game. One more high-end arm turns this from a patchwork rotation to probably a dangerous rotation. And the thing is you're going to need Marquez, and you're going to need Waldron, and you're going to need Walker Buehler to get you to that point. And maybe Lucas Giolito comes in and eliminates one of those options. And who knows what happens when German Marquez becomes healthy again, what that decision is going to be like. But a lot of interesting questions when it comes to rotation. I think Griffin Canning gives you a nice sense of this is going in the right direction. Because I thought he did well yesterday. Like throwing Michael King, Randy Vasquez, who knows what you can get out of a couple other players. And I think you can like breathe a little bit. I don't think you need to hold your breath as much. So we'll see what happens this week. But you're going to have Randy Vasquez on the hill tonight against the Giants. Padres have to do well against the Giants for the next couple of days, especially with how the NL West is. And that's the best part. You didn't really lose a lot of ground in the National League West standings because nobody won this weekend until finally on Sunday. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. It's time for us to get to our Midday Sports Standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me, Mr.
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who we got today?
We have Nick playing today. Nick is in Encinitas. Nick, how you doing today, bud?
Great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
So today, the Padres begin a weekday getaway series against the San Francisco Giants. San Francisco Giants are a legendary team in the history of baseball and have had many legendary players go through the team, of which they have retired 11 of their numbers. Who are the 11 retired numbers? Who are the players that wore the 11 retired numbers for the San Francisco Giants? Nick, you have the first guess.
First guess?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go Barry Bonds. I'm a Giant.
Barry Bonds, yes, does have his number 25 retired.
Let's go Willie Mays.
His number 24 is retired, yes. Nick?
Let's go Willie McCovey.
Number 44 is retired.
I think Gaylord Perry's number's retired.
Gaylord Perry's number is retired, yes. By the way, Jackie Robinson does not count on this list.
That would make it 12.
Yes.
One of my favorite players, Will Clark.
Will Clark, yes.
He was the last Giants number to be retired. The last one I have for you, because I don't know any other ones, is Mel Ott.
Mel Ott. He is one of the older ones, yes.
Give me Orlando Cepeda.
Orlando Cepeda, correct.
All right. He wins. I don't know anybody else in the Giants. I don't.
I mean, there's a couple of...
I don't know any of those players. There's no way.
Juan Marichal.
Never heard of him.
Juan Marichal, yes, he is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you name me one more, Nick, to give yourself the...
Automatic.
The win?
Geez.
Way back in the
maybe-
history machine.
Way back. Said Willie Mays. Maybe. Nah, I got it.
All right, well, that's fine. Nick, you still got the majority. Braden tapped out, so hang on the line. We'll get you the...
I just looked it up. So we're missing number 3, 11, 20, and that's it, right? Is that how many we're missing?
believe so, yes.
We got number 4,
11,
Mel Ott.
3, 11, and 20, yes.
Yes.
Mel Ott's number 4 was retired.
Will Clark was the last one.
Will
retired.
Clark was number 22. Willie Mays, 24. Barry Bonds, 25. Nick said Juan Marichal, number 27. Orlando Cepeda, 30. Gaylord Perry, 36. Willie McCovey, 44.
Number 3 was Bill Terry.
Yes, New York Giants.
What year was that? What year did he play for the Giants?
Bill Terry was a Giant from 1923 to 1936, his entire career with the New York Giants.
Giants number 11, Carl Hubbard.
Carl Hubble.
Hubble, sorry. I read it
Played
wrong.
from 1928 to 1943.
Yep, never heard of him. What was the other one?
Monty
Irving.
He played for the Giants from 1949 to 1955.
Wow.
He also served in the U.S. Army in 1944.
That's cool. Great player in MLB The Show. See, that's what happens when I stop playing MLB The Show. Lose on some of these old school names.
I believe Willie Mays, if I remember from last night without going back and looking, I believe Willie Mays is the only Giant to have his number retired that played for both the New York and San Francisco Giants. He's the only one that made the switch.
I believe it.
Everyone else either played for the New York Giants or the San Francisco
Giants, and he played for both. Oh, fun. A little fun history about the Giants when you see their retired numbers up there on the wall. Padres have what, 6? 5? They have 5, 6 with Jackie Robinson.
If I remember correctly.
Randy Jones, Steve Garvey, Tony Gwynn, Trevor Hoffman, and Dave Winfield. Yes. I think that's the 5 that have been retired in Padres history. All right, fun question today. The rotation conversation's interesting. It will continue to be interesting. Were you surprised by the Ramon Marquez move yesterday?
Yes, I was. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a phantom IL thing. I think there genuinely is. If you watch the way he pitched, he was pitching like there was something wrong on Sunday, or Friday night. So I'm not surprised to find out that there was an injury behind that, but I am a little surprised that it wasn't Matt Waldron that went.
I am a little surprised too, but I think Matt Waldron got the results enough to give himself an extra start. And if they have an opportunity to use here's the thing, if the Padres have the opportunity to use the injured list with trying to keep as many of these guys as possible, I think they're going to, right? You kind of have to. I mean, the Dodgers have done that for the last handful of seasons. But when you look at, because somebody in the chat's like, hard contact the entire game against Matt Waldron. How is that a bounce back? It's a bounce back because his overall results are exactly what you want in a number 5 starter. Are they not, Frank?
Yeah.
5 innings, 3 runs or less. Look, I'm not the biggest Matt Waldron fan in the world in terms of him being a pitcher, but I will say this. You got to give credit where credit's due. He pitched you a game that was good enough to win. He did exactly what was asked of him. And you can't set expectations. And this is where I agree a little bit with Tony Gwynn Jr. and Chris Ello, who defended him on the roundtable, is the expectations for Matt Waldron can't be set at a number that Matt Waldron can never achieve. Otherwise, it's a waste of our time. But I don't have expectations like that. My expectations for Matt Waldron is to be a number 5 starter. But the reality is, if he's not better than Walker Buehler or Juan Marquez, yeah, he might be doing the job as a number 5 starter, but he needs to be better than those two because you can't keep them all. That to me is the conversation. Not like whether or not he can be a number 5 starter. Can he be a number 5 starter that's better than Walker Buehler and Germán Marquez's version of a number 5 starter is? That's the real kind of conversation. Interesting numbers that we found on Jackson Merrill. We'll talk about that when we come back. Coming up on Tuesday's show, we'll recap Padres and Giants and give you a grade for a lot of teams after 1 month in a Major League Baseball season. Coming up on Tuesday's show, a recap of Padres and Giants plus first month grades for every team in Major League Baseball. 1 o'clock on the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on setting us number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Happy birthday to Fridge Water's daughter today. Just saw that in the YouTube chat. May the 4th be with you. All you Star Wars nerds out there. Do you like Star Wars, Frank?
I have only seen the first 3 Star Wars movies from start to finish.
Which first 3 are you talking about?
Okay, the original
3. You haven't seen the Clone Wars version?
Not from start to
Episodes
finish. Episodes
1, 2, and 3?
No, not from start to finish, no.
I don't mind those movies. I don't remember if I've seen all of the I don't know if I've seen all the super sequel ones, like when Disney took over.
Mm-hmm. The most recent ones that came out.
7, 8, 9 or something like that. I might have. I know I've seen 7. I don't know if I've seen 8 and 9. Maybe I have. I can't remember. I don't mind Star Wars. Out of the group of like the sci-fi stuff, I think Star Wars is the best out of the sci-fi. I think Star Trek is lame. Sorry to upset anybody that's a Star Trek fan. I'm not trying to start a Star Wars war here, but you know why I like Star Wars was cool. When I never dressed up or waited in line for Star Wars, and I actually watched it after all of them were made. It wasn't like there was a video game that I used to play that I just recently downloaded on the PS5, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah, how did I know?
That game was so sick as a kid. Like when I was and I was never into Star Wars. I'm like, what is this? This is cool from that perspective. And then I started watching the movies, and it's pretty interesting. So from that standpoint, I don't mind it. Am I going to be walking around telling everybody May the 4th be with you? Probably not. I get super fired up for Star Wars night? Not really. I don't mind the Star Wars rides they made at Disneyland. That's kind of cool. Not a huge Star Wars person, but I like the Star Wars stuff. I've never seen Dune. It starts getting into not a big sci-fi movie guy. I did see that Star Trek, the remake of the Star Trek that came out. That was not bad, but if I had to pick one of the series, it'd probably be Star Wars. It's pretty interesting to me. I do find it a little fun. Anyway, let's talk about, we're going to talk about some other numbers here in a second when it comes to Jackson Merrill. I saw a lot of people just, want to cut Matt Waldron. Hey, I'm not the biggest advocate for Matt Waldron. I'm going to tell you that right now. I mean, if anybody watched the roundtable this week, you would understand that. But at the same time, all I'm saying is he did what he needed to do the other day. He did what he needed to do the other day. So I think you got to give credit where credit's due. He went 5 innings, gave 3 runs or less. Look, I'm not, I don't think he is going to be the savior of the rotation, let's say. And I don't think long term he's going to be a better option than German Marquez or Walker Buehler. But right now, with the way he pitched, like he has to give you some type of innings. He did what he needed. He did what was asked of him. I think I said it the best way possible, Frank. Like, I'm not a huge believer in him being part of this rotation. But at the same time, like, you can't get mad at the guy for doing exactly what you asked him to do the other day, which was 5 innings and 3 runs or less. You can survive with that for the next, week or two until Lucas Giolito comes back. But I do feel like you do have to give the guy credit when he does pitch well. And he pitched a lot better. He got better results. I know the ball was hit hard. I know he got bailed out by Xander Bogaerts. Look, trust me, I was the one making those arguments on Thursday. But when you look at the reality of the situation, he has not really done a lot. And for somebody that's actually defending that point in the YouTube chat, I will counter with this. He had He had a handful of good starts, and then it went poorly for him 2 years ago. I mean, go back and look at his stats from 2 years ago. Don't look at the whole year. Go look at his game logs. Looked really good, and then it looked like somebody figured him out, and then he hadn't looked good since. So.
Like I said, I think the biggest negative about Matt Waldron is the fact that he insists on not being a knuckleballer. He insists on being a pitcher with a knuckleball. It doesn't work that way. You need, if you're going to pitch, if you're going to have a knuckleball, you either need to focus your energy on that knuckleball or you need to just straight up get rid of it. It doesn't work that way.
I just want to point this up because I find it funny that, Matt Waldron, the conversation right now in the YouTube chat about Matt Waldron is, look at 2 years ago. You can't forget that. And somebody's like, you can forget it. Well, go look at 2 years ago. Go look at his he made 27 starts. Made 27 starts. If you look at his second half of the season in 2022, he had a 5.94 ERA. The Padres went 3-6 during. He went in those 14 games. He was 3-6 with a 5.94 ERA, a 5.13 fielding independent pitching. His batting average on balls in play was 297 against. I mean, his second half of 2024 was not good. And then he missed most of 2025. I think he had one start in 2025. He was awful in that one start. And then so far this year, he has not been very good. But I will say this is what got onto the deal. What he did last week in his last outing was good enough to help you win. That's like the whole point of that conversation. It just spewed a argument in the YouTube chat about Matt Waldron. Matt Waldron did not make it through. He made it through. How about this? Because I already know his 2025 and 2026 stats. Do you know how many games Matt Waldron did not give up one earned run? At least one earned run.
I'd probably say there's so much margin for error with that knuckleball. I would say like maybe 3.
He has only put up a 0 in 2 of his starts ever. And that's in earned runs. One of them was an unearned run in his second start. He gave up one unearned run.
It's about right though, because if you miss with the knuckleball, it's going over the fence.
Here's his 2024 first 13 games: 4 runs, 1 run, 1 run, 5 runs, 1 run, 4 runs, 8 runs, 2 runs, 1 run, 2 runs, 0 runs, 1 run, 1 run. That sounds pretty solid, does it not?
Mm-hmm.
His first 13 games. That gives you a 3.76 ERA, 4-5. Not bad, right?
Yeah.
Then you go to his second half, as we mentioned. 2 runs, 1 run, 2 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs, 1 run, 3 runs, 5 runs, 1 run, 5 runs, 7 runs, 10 runs, 5 runs. That seems like they figured him out.
That's not as good.
It seems like they figured him out in his 32nd game of his career. Then you go to 2025. 2025 game log, he had 1 game. You know how many runs he gave up? 4. And then you look at this year. I mean, honestly, 3 runs is the least amount of runs he has given up in an outing since, oh my God, you go back to 2024. I'll put it this way. Matt Waldron in his last start. This is why I said he bounced back. It was a lot better of a start. You ready for this? That was Matt Waldron's best MLB start since August 4th, 2024, when he went 5 2/3 and gave up 1 earned run on a homer. He only gave up 2 hits. That's a long time. Anyway, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Steve and Poway. Steve, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
Hey, Braden. Hey, I think I got a little I told you so moment here, I think. that I want to share with you about Arraez, which I said at the beginning of the season, spark plug of this team, keeps everything rolling. We can see how good our offense is so far this year. But here, this came up on my phone over the weekend, and this was a stat between Tony Gwynn and Arraez. I don't know if you saw it. 2,144 at bats. Arraez, 325. Gwynn, 326. Hits. Arraez, 696. Gwynn, 699. Home runs. Arraez, 24. Gwynn, 24. Stolen bases. Arraez, 11. Gwynn, 81. Different OPS. Arraez, 802. Gwynn, 804. Yeah, why would you want that guy on your team? I just can't imagine why you'd want that kind of guy on your team.
What?
Hold
on, Steve. Are you pulling his career? What stats are you pulling? His career stats or his stats right now in San Francisco?
2,144. That was at that point in his career, 2,144 at bats.
I would love to have that guy on my team, Steve, but he's not that guy anymore. That was when he was hitting 354 as a batting average. He's actually playing better in San Francisco right now than he was last year for the Padres. But the player that you had in San Diego, you don't want. The player he is now in San Francisco, a little bit, sure, maybe. But overall, as a player, he has a 104 OPS plus. That means he is 4 percentage points better than an average player. Look, I get that. All those numbers you mentioned, would love to have that player on the team. But a lot of that comes from his Miami and Minnesota days, and he's not putting up those numbers anymore.
He still would probably have the best average on the Padre team this year.
Yeah, he's hitting 308 as an average. That's great. How many wins do the Giants have for that? I don't know about a spark plug, man. I disagree with you on that. I don't think this team needs Luis Arraez to be able to hit. Because we saw it last year, and he was on the team all year last year, and what did everybody complain about? They couldn't hit. Look, Steve, I appreciate the phone call, man. I appreciate you chiming in. I agree. I would love to have the guy that you just mentioned. He ain't that guy anymore. He's not. He's just not. Yeah, you know what? At this point in his career, great. You got all of Tony's career. You got 2 years of Luis Arraez of that career that you mentioned, and it is 2 of his worst years of his career. And you didn't even get a full one. You got a quarter of a year. He's got a 108 OPS plus. That means he's 8 percentage points better than an average baseball player. His WAR is still like incredibly low since he became a Padre. Tony Gwynn's numbers at that point in his career like just blow off the page. Yeah, I get his average is high. But when you want to bring in Luis Arraez that overcomes the on-base percentage and the OPS problems, you bring on the Luis Arraez that's hitting 354. He hasn't hit 354 anymore. He's in 308 right now through 140 plate appearances. Yeah, he used to be one of those players. He's not that player anymore. And he's not even close to what Tony Gwynn was at this point. The only thing he's got is his average right now compared to Tony Gwynn. And that's what people look at. But I think it does a very big disservice to a guy like Tony Gwynn, who at this point in his career, you want to talk about that? Arraez at age 28 hit 292 with a 719 OPS. When Tony Gwynn was 28 years old, he hit 313 with a 787 OPS. Tony Gwynn in his career, when he was 34, he hit 394. His highest average ever. His OPS, 1022. Tony Gwynn's OPS almost every single year was above 800. His career OPS was 847. Luis Arraez's career OPS is 774, and it continues to go down. It's not Tony. It's not close to Tony. Maybe some select numbers are close to Tony. He ain't Tony. You want to talk about WAR too? Tony was putting up big WAR numbers. He went through his first couple of years. At age 29, age 28, Luis Arraez had a 1.2 WAR. Tony had anything lower than that. He didn't have anything as low as that ever in his career. One time when he was 22, he had a 1.0 WAR. Oh, and then when he was 40 and 41 years old, despite having a 0.4 WAR when he was 40 years old, he still hit 323. I strongly disagree. I get it. I get what he's saying, Frank, but at the same time, like, I don't think that's enough to, like, improve this team. What do you think?
You are not better off today with Luis Arraez. You're just not. I don't care if he's playing first. I don't care if he's playing second. You're not better off today with Luis Arraez than you would have been without him. Than you are without him.
I thought he was going to say, I told you so about Manny, because he usually calls in and tells you, I told you so about Manny. Be like, all right, well, he's not off to a good start. I think he's on to something there. But Arraez, like, I will say this. I did see it in the chat. Would you take that over what Jake Cronenworth's giving you right now? Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
But he wouldn't be playing in place of Jake Cronenworth. He'd be playing first alongside him.
Correct.
So you get both of them. You're not getting one or the other. You're getting both.
Which means you don't have Ty France. Which means you don't have, maybe you have Gavin Sheets still.
Miguel Anduhar isn't playing as much.
Maybe you don't sign Miguel Anduhar. Does anybody listen to you when you talk, by the way? Frank did not say. If you brought back Luis Arraez, guess what? Guess who's still under contract? Guess who's still under contract? Jake Cronenworth is still under contract. You weren't just like magically trade him away. You would have to play the two next to each other, which means less playing time for Gavin Sheets, less playing time for Miguel Anduhar if he's even on the team, less playing time for Ty France. Correct. Are you okay? Thanks for listening.
Well, then we bench Crone. He's got to ride the bench for... No. Arraez would be playing first base on this team. That is what he would be doing. Gavin Sheets would be DHing.
Correct. And then you wouldn't have
kind of like what you did last year when you had this situation. Guys, Maron. I don't know what else to say to that.
I was going to talk about, we still got to talk about Jackson Merrill's numbers.
Press live on YouTube.
You know what? I'll say this. I will believe Steve's I told you so if at the end of the year, Luis Arraez puts together a great season. But then at that point, Frank, then he would have been better than the last 2 years you had Luis Arraez, which means I would love to have Luis Arraez that was the better player than the player that we had here in San Diego. Yeah, I'd love to have that Luis Arraez, but you didn't have that Luis Arraez.
I have a question.
I might have an answer.
Was last year's team good enough to get it done?
No, it was not.
So why would you roll out the exact same team this year?
You would. You would have rolled out the exact same team.
And think that they were going to get it done this year.
All I want to say about Luis Arraez, I'm not a hater of Luis Arraez. I think he's okay. I think if he hits 350, 314, 316, and it overcomes his OPS, it overcomes his on base percentage. I think he's a good clubhouse guy. But when you start telling me the numbers that he had, when he had a 4.6 WAR and a 4.1 WAR and a 3.2 WAR and a 1, you know what I'm saying? And none of those years were in San Diego. In fact, when you look at his years in San Diego, he had the lowest WARs of his career. It's kind of hard pressed for me to be like, I want the San Diego guy back. It's tough. But I will say this. He already looks like he's better right now than he was in San Diego. So by that notion, yeah, I would like to have the guy that was better than what we had here in San Diego. I think it's better than maybe one of the options. Interesting stats that we saw about Jackson Merrill that might lead to where you should bat him in the order. We'll talk about it when we come back. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bang banking. It's better. All right, let's talk about some of these interesting numbers that we have on Jackson Merrill. I found these to be interesting in terms of like where he should bat in the order. Now, as of right now, I don't think Ramon Laureano should bat leadoff. I feel like you could utilize him more in the middle of the order, anywhere between 3 and 7. He has done very well there, and he has not done well in the leadoff spot. I don't think this team really has a leadoff hitter aside from Fernando. If you want to go back to that experiment, again, I've been the biggest advocate for Fernando batting leadoff. I think it's probably better for him to bat leadoff. I think it's better to have your scariest hitter bat leadoff. I know he's not hitting home runs right now, but it sounds like that fits in to what Fernando does as of this point. Might as well bat him leadoff if that's the case. So let's talk about Jackson Merrill. I think based on some of these numbers, now this season he has been out of what I would consider qualifying hitters. He has the second best average when leading off innings. So as I view leadoff hitters, and we've talked about this on the show, Frank, there are 2 reasons you'd bat a guy leadoff. Do you remember what those 2 reasons are? Why you'd bat a guy leadoff? He either does this or he is this.
Either as a power hitter or he's got speed.
He is either the best hitter on the team for more times up, right? Or he is the guy that gets on base, can run, kind of the traditional leadoff hitter. Now, I think if you're going to go from the perspective of like who our best athlete is, who you want to see up the most times, I lean more towards Fernando. I know he is not hitting home runs right now, but he is your most dynamic player. If you want to go with like guy that fits the norm, that means you got to look at players that lead off innings. You got to see how they do when they lead off innings, not go based on his splits of batting leadoff. Jackson Merrill has played 3 games. He has started 2 of them in which he has batted leadoff for the San Diego Padres. He's 1 for 8. That's not enough of a sample size, is it? No, it's not. So what do you have to look at? And you want to see how a guy does as a leadoff hitter. I don't know. Maybe look at his splits that say leading off an inning. Now, in those 2 starts, he is 0 for 2 when leading off the game, so you can't look at those numbers. But let's look at the leading off the inning numbers again. This season, he's second best in the Padres in doing that. He's behind Gavin Sheets, of all people. I don't know about Gavin Sheets leading off the game. Maybe you got to try it. If you get that desperate, go ahead. Might as well try to find a leadoff tool because the Padres right now in leading off innings and in leading off games are the worst in baseball. Nobody's worse than the Padres when it comes to generating any type of contact, generating any type of success in the leadoff spot. So let's talk about, from a career standpoint, Jackson Merrill and leading off innings. In Jackson Merrill's career, he has had 241 plate appearances leading off an inning. That is almost 300 plate appearances, which is a well enough sample size, would you say, Frank? 241 of those? When leading off an inning, Jackson Merrill is 64 for 225 with 16 walks, which means he's hitting 284 with an 843 OPS. That sounds like a guy that knows how to hit with nobody out, nobody on base, does it not?
Yes. Really quick. This is coming down from Jeff Sanders. Talked about Lucas Giolito before. He will not be with the Lake Elsinore Storm anymore. He is now getting moved to San Antonio and will start tomorrow.
Nice.
For San Antonio.
Is he pitching to Ethan Salas?
I would have to assume so.
That'd be nice.
So Lucas Giolito going from low single A to double A.
All right. Let's go back to this conversation. All right. So the leading off an inning. Are those numbers good, Frank? Leading off an inning?
Yeah.
284 batting average, 843 OPS.
No, those are not good.
Those are great. Thank you. His batting average on balls in play at 302. So, to me, if you want to bat Jackson Merrill in the top 3, he's got to be a leadoff guy. Now, here's where this kind of contradicts that. Let's look at his career batting order positions and where Jackson Merrill has had success. You ready for these numbers, Frank?
Go for it.
So he has had 9 plate appearances when batting in the number 1 spot. I view leading off an inning more for a leadoff batter than batting first, where he has only done it twice, like 2 games. He's hitting 125. He's 1 for 8. Whatever. Batting second in his career, he's done it 58 times in terms of plate appearances. He's hitting 226 with a 597 OPS. Not great. Okay, but not great. When Jackson Merrill bats third, it is the worst out of any position in his career. Jackson Merrill has made 33 starts batting third. He has had 146 plate appearances batting third. Jackson Merrill batting third is hitting a .189 with a 552 OPS. So based on what we have seen with Jackson Merrill, if you're not going to bat him leadoff, which fine, I just think it's an idea because he does a good job leading off innings, I wouldn't bat Jackson Merrill in the top 3 spots in the order. Just based on his career numbers. He has had way more success batting in the middle of the order. You go look at batting fourth. When he bats cleanup, he's hitting 278. It's a lot better than the top 3. The 771 OPS. When he bats fifth, how about this? When Jackson Merrill bats fifth, now albeit not a huge sample size, but still at least 100 plate appearances. When Jackson Merrill bats fifth, he's hitting 341 with a 983 OPS. When he bats sixth, he's done this in 80 games. He has 321 plate appearances. He's hitting 269 with an 850 OPS. When batting seventh, he's hitting 311 with an 861 OPS. And then he's got 62 plate appearances in the 8 spot, 33 plate appearances in the 9. It's better to bat Jackson Merrill 4 through 7 than it is to have him bat 1 through 3, according to statistics. Now, this is all small in terms of the overall grand scheme of things. He's only been in the league for a couple of years. He missed a decent amount of games last year due to injury. I get all that. But if you're going to bet Jackson Merrill in the top 3, I think you bat him leadoff because he's done well in 241 plate appearances leading off innings. And if you don't want to do that, Frank, I think it's time to move Jackson Merrill to the 5th spot or lower.
I mentioned this to you during the break when you told me this a couple breaks ago. I'm going to equate him to David Wright. David Wright was having his career years when he was batting behind Carlos Beltran and guys like Carlos Delgado, and Cliff Floyd was batting around him. He was in the number 5 spot in the order. And Jackson feels that way to me as well. He is a middle of the order type of hitter. Now, that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying he's not a superstar. He is. But he feels like he's one of those middle of the order guys that's where he's going to be most effective. I think if you hit him 5, if you go just for argument's sake, let's go Xander, Fernando, Manny, Laureano, Merrill. I think that's a pretty solid top 4. Top 5, and I think Merrill will work with that. Have Anduhar hit behind him, or have Ty France hit behind him. I think he'll be just fine. I think he is best suited for the middle of the order. Just because you're the superstar of the team doesn't mean you have to hit 3rd or you have to hit 4th. You can move around.
Right. And the same thing with like Laureano. Laureano does a lot better batting 5th or lower than he does batting in the top 4. If Laureano bats 2nd, out of the top 4 positions in the order, Laureano's done the best hitting 2nd in his career, more so than anywhere else. But hitting 7th has been great for Laureano. I don't think he should be hitting 7th, though.
Captain DJ, who cares about their numbers? Who plays consistent right now in the present?
I mean, you could go with that, but
right. But you also need to help these guys get where they're supposed to be, and if none
of them have been consistent,
right? If their numbers are better in a certain part of the lineup, throw them in there to try to get them right, and then move them back to see if that was just the case that they just needed to get right. We went over Jackson's numbers earlier on in the show. If he is not performing well, move him to a place where historically he has and see if that gets him right. And if it doesn't, then you know you have a bigger problem.
Maybe they should put Tatis back in the leadoff spot.
I mean, that's an option as well.
Because here's what you could do now, because Laureano's better at the number 2 spot in his career. I don't even need to put up Fernando's numbers to know that he does well in the leadoff spot.
Fernando, Laureano, Manny, Xander, Merrill. I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that too. I think that's an interesting way to put it too, when you start looking at the splits. But again, like, they have the talent. They need the stars to star. They also need to put the right recipe together. And I think this all stems from the fact that the Padres need to get somebody on base to start an inning. That's the biggest. The leadoff conversation is the biggest problem, I think, offensively for the Padres right now.
And for everyone who's been complaining about Fernando, you do realize the guy went 3 for 3 with a triple on Friday night, right? Like, it's not like he's not hitting. He's hitting. He's hitting better than the other two we're talking about, in Merrill and Fernando and Manny.
Right.
So all of this just insanity about Fernando is literally only coming because he has not hit a home run yet.
That's it.
Because he went 3 for 3. He's hitting. He went 4 for 7 this series.
We got to take a break, but You're right. When we come back, we'll give you a preview of Padres and Giants. What to expect out of Gigantes, who, will, by the way, are worse than the Rockies. We'll talk about it when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 1:43 on a Monday. Final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show. Gwynn and Chris coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We got Padres baseball in San Francisco. A 6:45 start tonight. You can't just go 6:40?
6:45.
Yeah, that's what I said. Why the 5? Why the extra 5 minutes?
Because,
man, is Lucille got to have like this special entrance or something?
Yeah. Have you not been to a Giants game up at Oracle?
I have been to a Giants game. It was 2004. I haven't been there a long time.
He's got to like get on the box. He's got to do his little thing with the baseball.
I like the fact that his sunglasses go front and back. He flips it on. I have to say, like in the mascot conversation, and we could have a good mascot segment during the All-Star break. We talked about this in the past. Mm-hmm. Lucille's up there. He's the only redeeming quality of the San Francisco Giants is Lucille, in my opinion. I really much dislike the San Francisco Giants. I guess the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but
unless it's a big fuzzy fake seal, then he's just friend.
You can't get mad at Lucille, man. You can't. He's funny. He's funny. Do you see him kick over the bat weight?
Yes.
On the on-deck circle of Shohei Ohtani? He was like, oh, yeah, how about this?
See,
you want to mess with me now?
You think of Lucille the same way I think of Blooper. I know it's a team I hate, but it's funny. It's awesome.
That's why it's great the Dodgers don't have a mascot. There's not many mascots I dislike. I definitely do not dislike Lucille. Lucille's pretty money. It's a pretty money mascot. I like Dinger, too. I really don't like the Bobcat in Arizona. I really don't. Why they have a Bobcat? Couldn't tell you.
You know what the Yankees...
The diamond, I guess walking around, a giant snake walking around might scare kids.
Do you know what the Yankees
Baxter or something like that?
No. They had...
No, I meant the Arizona mascot.
Oh, yeah, Baxter.
Baxter, the Bobcat. Yankees had something?
The Yankees had an mascot for 3 years. His name is Dandy.
Excuse me?
From 1979 to 1988. They called it Dandy, as in Yankee Doodle.
Dandy. That's terrible. Foul.
I agree with you.
He draws the foul.
Oh, it's a WebP file, which is why I can't
access it.
Yeah.
All right, so
I'll get you a picture of Dandy here.
In the division, the Dodgers don't have a mascot, right? That's typical Dodgers, not have a mascot. I like Dinger. We obviously like Dinger on the show. We like Lucille. We obviously love the Friar. Not a big fan. I don't really. Yeah, the Bobcat for the Diamondbacks doesn't really do it for me.
You're gonna laugh because this is like the most New York picture you can find right here.
Excuse me?
Of Dandy. This is the Yankees mascot from 1979 to 1981. Dandy.
Wow, that entire thing is furry. Even like this Yankee uniform.
Yep. It is a big fur ball standing in front of a soubrette hot dog vendor.
You know what it looks like? It looks like the Philly Fanatic's cousin that got body painted as a prank. That's what it looks like. That's terrible. I can see why they got rid of that thing.
Well, it's also like the late 70s, early 80s too. So
what's up with the sideways hat too?
I don't know. Speaking of which, Yankees.
Is that a red bandana he's got in his belt loop?
Yankees,
or is that a glove?
Yankees uniform, by the way. I'm seeing nothing but facial hair here. So he's already run afoul of that. And yeah, the sideways hat, ungroomed hair. Like he's getting fined left and right. That's why he wasn't the Yankee mascot anymore. It went bankrupt.
The ungroomed hair sticks out to me, but I thought they're allowed to have mustaches.
He's also got a beard too, because it goes under the.
I don't see a beard.
Under where his mouth is.
That's his nose.
No, like under, like see that little line there in the middle? That's his mouth. So it goes under, like it wraps around his mouth. So it's technically a beard in there too.
I think it's a mustache. I think it's supposed to be a mustache. I think you're grasping at straws here to hate the Yankees a little bit.
No, I said we're not making fun of the Yankees today.
And then you pull up their only mascot they had.
Because we were talking about mascots. It all connects. This is a fact-finding mission. This is not making fun of the Yankees.
Augie in the chat, Bernie Brewer. He's pretty solid. Like one of the only things that was funny about Dave Assay, who everybody on the show now hates, was he like went into the side, tweaked himself.
Yes.
Man.
See, we've been doing that. I got to contact the Cardinals today, as a matter of fact, because we're getting close to a Cardinal series.
I have numbers. I'll give you instead. I'll have phone numbers to give you instead.
Is there anyone, because it's coming up, is there anyone, chat, that you would not revolt against that we had on for the Dodgers?
No, they're going to revolt any way possible. I mean, I'd like to get Tommy Edman on again because he's great and he's from San Diego, but oh my God, the people.
Is there anyone that you guys would be semi-okay with?
I think we just not even address it. It's not necessary. I don't think they're going to be okay with anybody.
That's why I said semi.
No,
okay.
I don't think that's even in play. All right, let's talk about the Giants real quick. Did you know the Giants are in last place? Did you know that today?
I knew they weren't good. I didn't realize they were in last.
They're in dead last by a half game. They're a half game behind the Rockies. They are worse than the Rockies. The Giants, and we're going to go over this tomorrow. ESPN.com had the first month grades for Major League Baseball. They gave the Giants a D-. They're dead last in home runs, walks, and steals. Rafael Devers has been absolutely awful. Rotation additions are massively failing, and new leadership is already under fire for the Giants. I don't know how much longer they can roll with this, and here's the thing. This is what they looked like before they came here. Do you remember what happened before they came here?
They hadn't won a game yet.
They got their ass kicked by the Yankees for 3 straight days, and then they took 2 out of 3 from the Padres. So, and I know that was when the Padres were playing great baseball. It was early in the season. This is a great opportunity for the Padres to just beat up on a bad team.
This is how bad Rafael Devers' start the season has had. He is being threatened with being traded to the Mets. That's how bad he's doing.
The San Francisco Giants currently have the longest losing streak in all of baseball. Do you know what it's at? Without looking, cheater?
Longest current losing streak?
Current losing streak.
7?
Yeah. They've lost 6 in a row. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They're 8 games back of the Dodgers.
One off.
They're 7.5 games back of the Padres right now. Their run differential is -34. They're 7. They have a losing record at home. There's not a lot of teams that have a losing record at home. They're one of them at 7-9. Same record as the Rockies have at Coors Field. So this is a good opportunity for the Padres to go out and feast on what has been an absolutely awful Giants team that has just got swept by the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa's been pretty solid this year. They're 21-12. They're one of the lone teams in the American League that have a winning record.
Yeah, they are.
But the Giants,
they're very ungood, aren't they?
Have been terrible. They have been terrible. The Giants are coming off of, again, getting swept by Tampa, and I think, were they in Atlanta too? No, they got swept by the Phillies. They got swept by the Phillies, who has been awful.
Mm-hmm.
They lost 7-0 last Tuesday. And then they got swept in a doubleheader, which is also something that doesn't happen. You want to go back to the last one? They took 2 out of 3 from Miami. I don't know how they took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. They magically did that at home. But the Giants have been incredibly disappointing this season.
Lucille knocked the beach ball off their head a couple extra times.
You want to know how bad the Giants are? I'm surprised Frank didn't bring this up. You want to know how bad the Giants are? They went 1-3 against the Mets.
Yeah, that's not good.
The Mets have 3 wins against this team. The Mets have more wins against the Giants than the Padres do. Come on. Got to get out there. Got to get after it tonight with Randy Vasquez. We'll see if they make any lineup changes, Frank. We'll stay posted on that. Gwynn and Chris coming up next. They'll lead you into the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:45. First pitch, Padres Giants, 6:45. We'll talk about that game tomorrow, as well as some grades for the first month of the year for MLB.